Hello and welcome to episode 123 of the Wise Guys podcast. I am your host, Brandon Capozziello. Here with me today is Justin Ray and a special guest, a friend from the past of Brandon's, Sean O'Gara, massive Red Sox fan, massive Vikings fan. As you guys saw this video, you click on it, the thumbnail is of Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson, and I put a little thought bubble above them. And what is in that thought bubble, guys? The Super Bowl. What is it now? 50... 53?
We're up past 53. I want to say it's 55.
Is it 55?
Okay. I'm fumbling the bag
No, that might be my guess.
I trust Sean.
I think it's Super Bowl 54.
It's close.
Or 50. It's LI?
It is definitely not 50.
Say 50 was Broncos Cam Newton.
Super Bowl 2024. I'm looking it up. I should have had it. V with 3 is what? That's 53.
Oh, that's 50. Honestly, I think that's
No way.
We all look stupid not knowing how to read ruminal numbers.
It's 58. It's 58.
It's 50. It's 58. Sean helps us out. All right.
I guess we got today's trivia.
We got today's trivia out of the way. The logo, as Brandon fumbles the bag, is of a thought bubble. And what is in that thought bubble? Super Bowl 58, the trophy, the logo. Are the Minnesota Vikings Super Bowl contenders this year?
Yes.
Justin has been riding the Kirk Cousins train ever since he watched the quarterback documentary. He has gone soft on Mr. Kirk Cousins. Nobody ever disrespected his character, Justin. We were just talking about his play on the field. We're also going to dive into Trey Lance was traded to the Dallas Cowboys. What does that mean? We're going to discuss that. We're also going to we're going to give. I know we did the prediction episode a couple weeks ago, Justin, and I gave a lot of bold predictions. Well, those are going to return today, and I'm going to say them even harder this time. We are going to give our biggest bold predictions for this upcoming NFL season. And we're going to dive into a little more stuff later on. But, guys, how are you doing this fine Sunday morning, August 27th, 2023?
I know I'm feeling great. I'll tell you one thing for anybody watching. For the first time in a long time, I got a baseball guy now joining the show. So shout outs to Sean, even though he's wearing a Red Sox cap, which is turning me down. But as long as we could talk a little bit of baseball, I'm okay.
No, that works perfect. And no, I'm rocking as well. I'm appreciative to be on with you guys. Ready to talk some baseball as well if it comes up. I can hate on the rest of the AL East with you, Justin. So that's the positive side. But no, I got my coffee. I'm rocking. Brandon, how are you doing?
I am doing very well. I would be remiss if I didn't add that today is is National Cinema Day. So tickets are $4. Good luck getting into any theater because I checked. They are all packed up because people were like, $4 movie tickets. We're going to see every movie that is possibly out there. But let's dive into the first topic of today. Let's stop beating around the bush. I will throw it. I'm going to throw it to Justin first, and then we'll go Sean. Are the Vikings Super Bowl contenders in this week NFC conference?
I think yes, and I don't think it's even up for debate. I think the only people standing in their way right now, as much as you want to believe in the Cowboys, I'm going to throw them in the trash and say it's really just the Eagles and the San Francisco 49ers. Last year, and I still see this as a concern going into the year for Minnesota, I'm sure Sean will agree, is it comes into what that defense is going to look like. Is that defense going to contribute? Who are the big dogs? There's no notable names. I mean, you still got your Harrison Smith. Now you got Byron Murphy sliding in there too, who I think is a great corner. But it's really, what is that defense going to do to support the offense? Because I trust that Kevin O'Connell, Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson coming off of a career year, I think they're going to have plenty of offense on that side. It's really just, okay, now what is the defense going to do? Is this team going to be going out there having to score 28-plus points a game every single week? And if you're living by that method, then no, this isn't a Super Bowl contender. But if this is a team that can get, middle of the pack defense at least, I think the Vikings are most definitely contenders.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and you made some good points there, Justin. I think that the big hope in my mind, at least, and I'm not necessarily to the point of blind that I can't see that the Lions are also a great team. The Cowboys are a great team as well. But I do think if you put us in top 5 consideration. If we end up with a 4 seed or above, we're a team that can play in the playoffs quite well. I do think the offense is, he got even better. You got Jordan Addison added in there. I think Alexander Mattison, knowing the offense for this long, is an easy plug-in, and that's going to be really strong as well. Then some good guys behind him that can really fill in. I do think that it's going to be the offensive line and the defense that concerns me a little bit. Be open on it, but it's a team that can get to the playoffs, and then as long as we don't lose to the Giants again and I have to deal with plenty of New York crap, then I'll be happy. So I think that they should be in the realm of contenders if we're looking at the NFC overall.
Okay, so what's surprising me instantly, I went on Pro Football Focus. What's surprising me is I didn't realize the Vikings were graded in 2022, had the 4th graded defense in the NFL. I didn't realize that. That shocks me.
Yeah.
I would not have.
Yeah, I hope I'm not reading that wrong, but it literally says 2022 team grades, defense 4th. I didn't expect that.
Didn't look like that against Daniel Jones.
No. But what I'm going to say is this, right? When you look at the NFC, I'm pulling up the team sheet right there. I obviously am riding with the Dallas Cowboys as the best team in the NFC currently right now. I think that they were really good last year despite Dak's injury and their inability to stop the run. I think this year they got better. I think Dak is going to be coming in healthier, hopefully healthy throughout the entire season. You got the O-line is looking to be back to being healthy, and Zach Martin has been paid. You drafted Mozzie Smith in the first round, I believe. Yeah, late in the first round to hope and shore up that defensive front line. And the 2 big acquisitions, in my opinion, that made the Dallas Cowboys the team to beat in the NFC in my eyes. Brandon Cooks, who I do believe Brandon Cooks and CeeDee Lamb are going to have 1,000 yards apiece. I think both are going to help Dak tremendously. Michael Gallup is a year removed from that torn ACL. Everybody said when you tear an ACL, when you tear an Achilles or something like that, it usually takes a year, and then you're back to what you usually were, unless you're Adrian Peterson, which we all know and we saw blatantly. This man is a beast. He is a Terminator. But now Michael Gallup is back off a year, and hopefully he's going to be better. And Michael Gallup as your 3, I'm loving that. You lost Dalton Schultz, but you drafted a tight end, I believe, in the 2nd round, and he's hopefully going to fill that void. He's just going to be a safety blanket. And then the other big acquisition was on the other side of the football. Another weakness for the Cowboys. They had Trayvon Diggs, who I believe is the best cornerback in football for my money. If I was starting a team, I've always said, if you gave me a choice, pick a lay of the land, what cornerback do I want? It's Trayvon Diggs. Well, guess what? They added a guy who is older, but still playing at elite level in Stephon Gilmore. Then you got who I believe is going to win the NFC North. Let's get to the NFC North. The Detroit Lions. And Sean briefly touched on it. Justin is kind of pushing the Lions under the rug. He's not really looking at what happened the last 8 or 10 weeks, I believe it was last season, where Jared Goff, I don't believe, threw an interception, only threw 1 interception. I think it was like 15-1 or something like that throughout that stretch. He was playing outstanding football. I like to say inspired, because he's looking at it like a lot of people are expecting the downfall for the Rams, guys, right? He's showing, yeah, y'all should have never traded me. Should have never traded me. Because who would have thought that a lot of people, in a lot of people's eyes, the Lions would be in a better spot than the Los Angeles Rams? I think we all can agree. I know Justin's thoughts on DC. I'm sure Sean would love to play for DC. He's a guy that if you were playing for DC, you're going to run through a brick wall for him. So I'm taking that Detroit Lions team, who were taking steps forward last year, added Jahmyr Gibbs in the first round, what I think shores up that offense. Jameson Williams, hopefully he's going to be back after 6 weeks. He made a stupid-ass decision, but he'll be back. He's going to add a lot to that offense. I just see the Detroit Lions as the team to be in the NFC North, because they are going this way, while the Minnesota Vikings are kind of, in my opinion, stagnating or going downwards, where it's Kirk Cousins. You know what you're going to get from Kirk. Statistically, it's going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
But in the biggest moments, what happens?
I hate that so much, man. That
You hate it, but it's the truth. You hate the truth.
Brandon, did you watch the quarterback they cover? I mean, I definitely early in his career, but I mean, he's risen to the occasion at this point, and he owns that team. That he owns the offense. I feel like he's risen to that.
See, I'm not arguing that Kirk Cousins is not a very good quarterback. I don't think he's great. I think he's very good. He's like a B+ quarterback. Statistically, you're going to get Kirk Cousins is right there, right? But I do think, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I'm pretty sure his primetime game, Thursday nights, Sunday nights, Monday nights, Saturday nights, if I'm not mistaken, they're down. They're not good. There are losses there, a lot of them. And while Adam Thielen was a shell of himself the last couple of seasons, you're removing him. You're adding Jordan Addison. I understand that's, big promise for him. But how much love is he going to get in an offense where you've got TJ Hawkinson, you've got Jettas, arguably the best receiver in football. Hawkinson, I got to mention, is looking to break the mold. He wants to reset the market. There's not a lot of opportunities to go around, in my opinion. So I just see it as it's a lot of Jettas, and then I yet to be seen with Addison. And then Hawkinson, I've always thought Hawkinson's a talented player. He's kind of like Kirk, actually, in my opinion. They're very similar. They're very good players, but they'll always leave you wanting more.
If I can respond to one other person you didn't mention that I would put up there, I mean, you give good compliments to DC, but you give Kevin O'Connell his second year in the league. I think if you look at a team that went 13-4, you got to give the head coaching job one of the biggest looks is in those one-score games. So I'd give a quick shout out there. I would run through a wall for DC though. He's outstanding. The Lions are fun as hell team. I think it's something that, I don't give them any lack of respect. It's really just looking at them going into the year thinking we probably win. If we win both those games, those are going to be the big games, Lions, Vikings setups. And I think that they're all, if I'm not mistaken, pretty stacked together. I think they're like 2 and 3 weeks or something like that. But the winner of those games are going to take the division. And I feel strongly that in those big games, especially if it does happen to be a big game Sunday at 1:00, Kirk and Kevin O'Connell are going to come and perform. I'd also throw out KJ Osborne as a nice third receiver at the Vikings that has always performed pretty well. If you want to throw a sleeper Jalen Reagor in there, he could also be pretty good. So that's for where he's at, not drafted 5th overall, but
listen, I honestly believe that I think Brandon, everybody looks at Kirk Cousins and they look at the primetime games, and that's the narrative surrounding him every time. But the truth be told is you can't find me a real negative about Kirk Cousins once you take that narrative out of it. I think, like I said before, I think you take so many teams will just dive right in for a Kirk Cousins. If you don't think San Francisco right now will take a Kirk Cousins over Brock Purdy and those guys right now, they'll do it in a heartbeat. New England will probably take Kirk Cousins in a heartbeat. You wouldn't? You make that face. You wouldn't?
No. You said the Patriots wouldn't, and they wouldn't pay him that contract.
Okay, but taking contract aside.
Belichick's not fully guaranteeing Kirk Cousins' contract.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm not thinking about the contract.
Well, I'm just saying we got to lay the cards on the table.
If Mac Jones turned into Kirk Cousins, if that was his ceiling, I'd be a relatively happy man.
That's it. You can say that Mac Jones' ceiling is a Kirk Cousins, and nobody's saying Kirk. I said it initially. He's a very good quarterback, B+ player. But you say strip away the prime time, which I got the record right now. His cumulative record in primetime games over his career is 12-20. He's 8-8 at home. With the Vikings, 7-9 in primetime games. He's 5-3 at home.
Mm-hmm.
But you say strip that all away, right? What are you going to get from Kirk Cousins? Statistically, a very good, borderline great quarterback, but a guy who will always leave you wanting more.
See, but you know what? This is my thing, and I want to pass this to Sean. I don't know if this is one of these things. So we spoke last episode about is wins a QB stat? Is it a QB stat? And I'm along the lines of no, not entirely. So I think of Kirk Cousins specifically in this case, a guy that played with a team that was poorly ran in the Washington Redskins at the time. And then he goes to Minnesota right after the Case Keenum magic where you're expecting instant, Super Bowl contending team, and they struggle out of the gate. large part of it was a ton of inconsistencies by that team. And it wasn't just Kirk Cousins. There's a whole lot of things that go into just wins and losses. So his primetime games, if we sat down, honestly, all these conversations is making me want to sit down and watch all 32 of all of his primetime games to see if I could pinpoint, is each one of them his fault? I don't feel like it is. I feel like it falls on the defense sometimes. I feel like it falls on the offensive line. And sure, sometimes Kirk Cousins can make that dumb mistake and throw it into the other team's hands. But for me to sit here and say, oh, it's all on Kirk, it's not. And I mean, then again, that's heavy as the head that wears the crown. When you're the quarterback, when you're the leader of the team, everything's going to fall on you. So I understand that talk, but we got to be realistic here. It's not all on Kirk.
Yeah, actually, Justin, to quickly jump in, because I did see your guys' episode last week with covering off on wins in the quarterback stack. I liked your comparable to like a starting pitcher, because I do think it's one of those things that it's like you do have as much control over the game probably as any position, but you still need the other side to perform. So that's where I feel like Kirk, in my mind, you got to take a little bit of the past out of it, because there are all those opportunities. Those aren't necessarily applying for his current scenario. He had Mike Zimmer as a head coach for a while, who I liked Mike Zimmer a lot when he first came in, but he's a defensive-minded guy. He's not going to be – then he had some changes with the offensive coordinators. Like now I feel like he's got the most opportunity with just consistency, getting good relationships with the guys he's throwing to, all of that. So that's – I don't want to start throwing like the match with Baker Mayfield's or anything if we're doing that with former wins and start comparing that. I don't know how he's doing in primetime games, but that's where I kind of give the comparable. If you want to pull that one up.
I'm pretty sure he pulled Baker made NFL history in a primetime game against the Las Vegas Raiders on 48 hours notice. Didn't even know the playbook. 92 yards down the field. His best offensive player was Tyler Higbee.
I like that you just had that one loaded.
Let's not talk about Mr. Baker Mayfield.
Alley-oop.
All right, so so Justin and Sean are both yeses. They believe the Minnesota Vikings are Super Bowl contenders in the NFC this year. I will say they are a top-tier team, right? And if you want to push comes to shove, are they a Super Bowl contender? I will say yes, but the only reason they are is because of how weak this NFC is. This NFC is not a strong conference. I think we could all agree on that. Aaron Rodgers not around anymore. Drew Brees and the Saints, Sean Payton are not around anymore. Matt Ryan and those Falcons teams, not around anymore. Seattle is still – if they had a prime Russ, okay, we could be talking now, but they don't. They have Geno, who's proved some things, but a lot of people believe that it was a one-hit wonder, and we'll see if he can do it again. The Rams struggling. It's a very weak – Tom Brady's gone. It's a weak conference. So I would hope that they're going to be a top-tier contender, because if not, because I have them missing the play. I don't know if you watched this episode, Sean, us predicting the schedule. But I have I'm pretty sure, Justin, right? If I'm not mistaken, I don't have the Vikings making the playoffs this year.
I think you had them 9-7,
9-8. I think
9-8.
Yeah. So I just don't see it this year. I think that they're going to take, and Detroit's going this way. That's just how I feel it.
I've got them winning the division.
You do, and I know, and put it out there too. I'm pretty sure if you guys aren't familiar with the stat, I'm pretty sure it's every year there's 6 new playoff teams. I think it's somewhere around there every single year. So you got to think that some teams are going to be shuffling in and out. If you look at the Detroit Lions last year, how good they were doing the last 8 to 10 weeks, and they knock out Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay in a basic playoff atmosphere because it was win and get in for Green Bay. Detroit dethroned them there.
Mm-hmm. Listen, I haven't touched on the Detroit Lions, but Sean, so last year before the NFL season started, I was high on Detroit. I had some love for Motor City Dan Campbell. I thought that they had some pieces, and they showed it. I'm a big fan of them, bro. I got the Detroit Lions hat in my closet. I'm all in on the Lions. I love that squad. Me picking the Vikings to win the division isn't me taking a shit on Detroit. No, it's absolutely not. I still have Detroit making the playoffs. I just think they're going to have some growing pains. I don't know if Jared Goff is really the guy. I don't think he's the guy to take him into that next phase. Yeah. But that all remains to be seen. So I don't want this segment to be looked at as me just completely ignoring the Detroit Lions. Now, the teams I will be ignoring is the Green Bay Packers, because I don't really believe in Jordan Love, even though I haven't seen him too much. Yeah, I just find it crazy that you could just throw away a top 5 quarterback of all time for chump change. and expect Jordan Love to do what Aaron Rodgers did when Brett Favre left. I think that's just baffling to me. So, and then the Chicago Bears, they might surprise a few people with DJ Moore this year. So I'm actually not sleeping on the Bears. I was sleeping on them in my predictions, but after watching them in the preseason, yes, Brandon, in the preseason, I think that they might surprise a couple of people, have a few upset wins. But ultimately, Vikings win the division. I don't know if they're going to the Super Bowl, but they will contend for one. I'll tell you that much. So who's your NFC champion?
NFC champion, it's a tough because I probably got to give. I mean, the Eagles are terrifying.
Yeah, they are.
I like just on paper. That's who, if I'm like, oh, contending wise, I mean, them, 49ers, Cowboys, and us are hopefully who I'm thinking. I don't think anything from NFC South is a weird division this year. So,
Okay.
Agreed. The NFC South is a weird division. But moving on to a topic that didn't really break the internet. It was a somewhat big topic, but Trey Lance was traded for a 4th round pick to the Dallas Cowboys. I'm shocked by this one. I tweeted out instantly that I think that this is a move that Jerry is doing to kind of put some pressure on Dak Prescott. Do I think Trey Lance is a threat to Dak? No, I do not. But I don't. It's not about me. It's about Jerry Jones and what he thinks. And Jerry Jones probably does view Trey Lance as a possible threat to Dak Prescott because Jerry Jones is let's be honest, a wild man. And he would do some wild stuff like that. Now, I just have to say to Jerry, okay, the grass ain't always greener on the other side. And if the grass you're talking about is Trey Lance, forget about it. You're not going to be happy with that. So I don't understand this move, really. I thought having Cooper Rush and retaining Cooper Rush in free agency was where we were going. Was okay. We saw Cooper Rush last year. He performed very well to the point where some crazy Dallas Cowboy fans were saying, "Let's just stick with Cooper Rush for the rest of the year." It's like, I didn't get that at all, but I thought that was the whole point. You keep Cooper Rush, and now you have a backup quarterback in case Dak Prescott does get injured. Now you bring in Trey Lance, who's going to be the third guy. I don't get it. Maybe one of you guys can help me see it, explain it to me, but I don't get this move at all. What does it mean?
Listen, I honestly don't see anything too crazy. I don't see it as pressure at all. I just see it as needing a quarterback that can play to a similar athletic style as Dak Prescott in the case he goes down. If we're looking at Trey Lance as a potential guy to run away with the Cowboys starting job at some point, I think that's foolish. He failed in San Francisco. He just got bumped he was a third string quarterback now because they chose Sam Darnold over him. And we've seen what Sam Darnold is. There was an interesting quote by Kyle Shanahan about the trade. I didn't hear the whole interview, but he said that he failed Trey Lance. A lot of people going into the league, even you, Brandon, saw Trey Lance as a project. And if he was a project going into the league, he has only started how many games now in the NFL? 3. So he's still a project as it is. Now he'll be playing backup quarterback in a Mike McCarthy offense. I don't like it. And, I feel bad for guys like a Will Greer, who yesterday goes absolutely bonkers. I think he throws for 305 yards, rushes for like 50, 4 total touchdowns in the game. Probably one of the best preseason quarterback games you've seen. And that was his tryout to remain a Cowboy. After doing all that, he gets cut. Why? Because Trey Lance just walked in there. So, I mean, I'm not big on the move. I don't think it's hey, Dak, you better get your shit together. No, I just think it's, okay, we got a quarterback that's just as athletic, or if not more, and hopefully we can get something out of it. That's really it.
Yeah, I'd throw out my thoughts if you take it out of the fact that it's Jerry Jones, out of the fact of the pressure cooker of the Dallas Cowboys and the fan base that, needs something, and it's a different team. Maybe it's the Saints. Maybe it's somebody else that just is like, oh, we're just going to take a guy on, take a prospect for a 4th round pick. I think it's not as analyzed as it is. I wouldn't have minded getting him behind Kirk just as a precaution. Get a guy that you can learn from, do it that way. Yeah, it's an interesting move, but thinking of Dak's injury history with Ben DiNucci starting games a couple of years ago and all of that, it's a bummer for Will Grier, but I do think it's not a bad move to throw a fourth round pick where Trey Lance might be closer to right around now, and just get him back in, and then hopefully have a couple of years where he's just learning the game and gets that exposure and experience. That's where I feel like it actually could work quite well for him. But yeah, definitely it shook the league, I would say. I mean, definitely got people thinking again.
I mean, so again, a name that you guys didn't bring up again is we're all Cooper Rush, the elephant in the room. I mean, I thought he's the backup. So Trey Lance is the third stringer now. So if Dak goes down, it's Cooper's going to get the role, right?
I mean, you would think so, right?
That's what I'm saying. So I mean, so Dustin,
the Cowboys.
That's where I'm like confused. So I'm like, okay, so you get a guy to play a similar type of thing as Dak. Well, then what about this guy in Cooper Rush? What is he doing?
He's just there.
I think he is the guy that's just like, no, this guy's our backup, but this is our wild card. That's Jerry's wild card, is being like, all right, Trey Lance, if Dak goes down week 4, it's Cooper Rush. If Dak goes down week 15 and there's some playoff race potential and they're looking at it and they're like, I mean, screw it, we might as well give the guy that's barely had any throws in professional football anyway. Let's get him in there. So I feel like he's an option where they're gonna see where they're at with him. Maybe he's more of a project to come out in a couple of years, like a Jordan Love level. But Cooper Rush, weird spot too.
I don't. So that's where I'm just confused. Is like Cooper Rush is kind of like the elephant in the room in this situation, and this is kind of, I guess, what Jerry's Johnny Manziel type thing. If he drafted Johnny, that drafted. Actually, just to mention that real quick, I watched the Untold of Johnny Manziel. It's a wild story. I don't know if you learn anything necessarily new. You just kind of get some more details about it. This guy was a crazy man. He watched zero film. There's literally a quote from his agent where it said, he's like, he gets a call from the Cleveland Browns, and the Browns are like, dude, he's not watching any film. He's like, what do you mean he's not watching? He's got to watch something, right? And he's like, Eric, his iPad hours is 0. And then it flips to Johnny Manziel, and he's like, nope, never once, never watched it. It popped in my mind like how a kid honestly can be so dominant in college football, right? Where his athleticism wasn't through the roof. It was good for his size, especially. It was good. But when you go to the NFL, that shit changes real quick. And you're not going to get away with the same stuff that you were getting away with in college. And it's a wild story, especially because you look at it. He obviously, I want to say, he did it completely to himself, but he never really did get that fair, true shot because he only played like 9 games, I think, 10, 11 games, something like that. No, Justin, but hear me. He did it to himself, but he never really did get that like true fair shot. He's a first round pick. He's a first rounder. Like you spent and that draft club, that first round for the Browns that year was Justin Gilbert and Johnny Manziel. They got Bentonio, who's still on the team and all NFL or all pro guard, but the first 2 picks whiffed hard. It's just a crazy story.
Well, I mean, with Johnny Manziel, he's probably one of my favorite college quarterbacks of all time. One of those guys that really made you want to turn the TV on a Saturday. But when you say he didn't get a fair shot, I mean, the only reason he didn't get a fair shot is because he did that to himself.
Yeah.
So you would have had your fair shot. You probably would have had a ton of opportunities if maybe you watched, I don't know, 30% of film instead of 0.
So just bump those hours up. Get 3 on there, and that's something. That's straight 0. I did watch that documentary. I enjoyed it a ton as well. It was really cool, and I appreciated the fact that like out of anything, Johnny Manziel's not defending himself. He's up there and just being like, yeah, no, I went hard. Like I just partied hard. I didn't care. Like it was funny to see. I feel like I just watched like the Fire Festival, and you see like Billy kind of being like, no, like denying everything, and then you get Johnny Manziel, and he's like, no, that's pretty accurate.
Yeah. Yeah, I did all that. I went ham. It was Project X come to life. It was. I just, like, goddamn, what a story. I don't. that era of football I mean, I wasn't a college football fan back then. I'm not a college football fan right now, but I could imagine that if something like that came along, I would be watching All Eyes. Like, it's not to the same ilk, but Arch Manning, he's not playing this year. He's not the starter. I don't know. Maybe he'll get some touch later in the season, but next year is probably going to be his time. I've already stated when Arch Manning starts, I will be watching Texas football because I need to see that prospect. This year, prayers out to Bronny James, but I always said when Bronny goes into the NCAA, I'm going to be watching Bronny James because that's must-watch TV. Those are the type of people that will get me to watch college sports. So, I mean, it would just be crazy to see another Johnny Manziel type like coming in. Like we haven't. I mean, you had your Lamars, Baker was a big time guy. Yep. Caleb Williams now has taken over the world, but he's not to that. It's not to the same level as Johnny. You know, you guys could probably speak to it more because you guys were, probably watching the Johnny Manziel effect. I wasn't so.
I thought Johnny was electric, man. So when I fell in love with college football, it was through the Tim Tebow days. That's when I first discovered it. So that's how I became a Gator fan. So it was through Tim Tebow, who I believe is probably now he's probably not considered the best college quarterback of all time, but for a long time he was up in that discussion until the Joe Burrows and that filthy LSU team takes over. Mm-hmm. But he was absolutely electric. I think, like I said, Johnny Manziel, that was probably going on when I was in high school. Man, now I'm aging myself here. But yeah, so it was quite a while. And I remember just tuning in. Like I said, I don't fall in love with college football these days. I don't see myself turning on college football every Saturday morning and seeing the college game day like I used to. When Johnny Manziel was on, you wanted to see it, bro. You wanted to throw this up when you're playing football with your friends outside. He was a phenomenon. And then obviously the NFL stuff happened. You just wanted to see him shine in the NFL. I was hoping that would translate, but unfortunately it didn't.
Yeah, no, I throw out. I feel like my college football ties. I just love watching good football. So for me, it's kind of on and off. But yeah, same with Johnny Manziel watching as a freshman win the Heisman. That's still one of probably the most impressive things you could have in college. Just even to think of, like, giving the freshman his roses anyway is just incredible. Like to even think that he would rise up that way. And watch the documentary, just seeing what he did for Texas A&M, I feel like is a really fascinating story about it. But yeah, I don't know if there is a guy that I'd say like is to that scale right now. Caleb Williams is getting exciting and be some good guys to emerge. There's been some great running backs, I feel like, in the last 5 years, maybe, to emerge out of college football more than any years past.
The receiver,
I'm not
out of college.
And actually, Alabama receiver core alone, I feel like.
I'm just saying, that next guy, Marvin Harrison Jr. is getting a lot of praise. He's going to be a top 5 pick, I think, in this upcoming draft. I think he's going to be one of those guys. But yeah, somebody who's just going to take over. I can't wait to see it because who was the last guy to take? Would you say who took over? Would you say Baker? Would you say
in college, pretty much?
Yeah. I don't know if Burrow exploded on social media like Manziel and Baker. Did he?
Trevor Lawrence. I mean, he wasn't that ill, but Trevor Lawrence was an absolute stud.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, like that. Who had that entertainment status too? Because Baker and Johnny were like RG3. Those guys were phenomenal football players, but also that entertainment factor. That's kind of what I'm talking about.
So then, the last one is Baker.
Probably Baker.
Yeah, that entertainment level of planting the flag in the field, grabbing his crotch, any of that stuff to really like.
That's why I fucking love Baker Mayfield, dude. That's my guy.
So it's the trash talking's way up there, yeah.
So headbutting guys when they got helmets on and you don't. I mean, that's just wild shit. That's some Brian Cushion stuff. But so I guess Baker was the last one. So we haven't seen one since, and it's going to be interesting to see because you can't predict it, you can't guess it. It just happens, and then you're just in for the ride, and after it, you're like, holy shit, that just happened. But moving on to the NFL. Oh,
I got one. Cam Newton.
Cam would probably be up there with some flash too.
Auburn
Cam Newton.
Yeah. Yep.
Not gonna forget that.
Super Cam. I remember it. I mean, he took the NFL, the first 2 games of his NFL career, both over 400 yards passing. First time in NFL history a rookie did that. I was just he did storm. But moving on, The biggest bold predictions for this upcoming NFL season. So Justin's doing this with his hand, so he must have something cooking. So Justin, let's not wait any longer. You got nothing, dude? No, you can't do that. I'm throwing it to you. I'm throwing it to you because you wanted to, act all. What's your biggest bold prediction, or if you have 2 or 3?
Okay, I have one. Well, I mean, I'll mention one of my bold predictions before. I think Lamar Jackson wins MVP. I think this is going to be a resurgence. I love the weapons that Baltimore has. So I think he's going to bounce back in a big way. I feel like a lot of people have been talking about him in a negative light. I think he's going to change all of that. Lamar Jackson can throw the football. I could see him throwing for well over 3,500 yards, running for over 1,000 yards as usual, but even to a higher degree. I think we won't be sleeping on the Ravens in the postseason this year. But my biggest bold prediction of them all, and I've talked myself into this in the coming days, and as a Patriot fan, I don't like to say it, but I actually believe this. I believe the New York Jets are going to the Super Bowl.
I have that on mine. That's the top of mine as well. I'm going to be honest. Yeah.
I have the Jets going to the Super Bowl. I just think that there's something magical going on right now up in Jersey, up in Florham Park in that practice facility. I think they're building an excellent culture right now. And I had a conversation with my cousin who's a diehard Jets fan, and he's like, I don't want to believe it just yet. He said, I can't buy into the hype. Every time I buy into any hype that my team is going to do good, they play horrible. But I just feel like there's really something special about this team. And for years on top of years, it's been who's the quarterback? Who's the quarterback? If you just replace Mark Sanchez with a more elite guy, just a guy that just is a little bit better, because Mark Sanchez did as much as he could, and he took him to back-to-back AFC title games. If you replace him with I don't know, I mean, he's a much better quarterback. But if they had a Phillip Rivers, they go to the Super Bowl twice.
If Brett Favre plays the way he did in Minnesota that one year when he was on the Jets.
Brett Favre was off to a fantastic start when he got to the Jets, and then a bunch of things happened. He had injuries, and I think they started off like 7 and something, but 7-3, 7-2. And they were off to a fantastic start before everything hit the fan. But I really believe in this Jets team. More so, it's just because I believe in Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to anchor this team. I think Garrett Wilson is an absolute stud. And if we want to talk fantasy football, you should be diving all in on a guy like Garrett Wilson. I think Breece Hall, that duo of him and Dalvin Cook, is going to be absolutely ridiculous. The defense is nasty with Sauce Gardner leading the charge, who I believe is already the best cornerback in football. I know I'm jumping the gun here. He is the best cornerback in the league right now. And I think he'll prove that to you guys if you guys don't believe that. I think they're going to bring something back to New York that a lot of people did not expect. I always said that if the Knicks win the NBA championship, if they win the finals, New York's going to go absolutely crazy. But I never actually thought about the Jets winning a Super Bowl because I always thought it would never be possible. And then you bring in Aaron Rodgers, things may change. I got the New York Jets going to the Super Bowl.
Boom.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Sean. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say I had that down as the top on mine as well, as a balance between like absurd and like no. Actually, though, I've been drinking the Kool-Aid, watching Hard Knocks just probably as much as you. Just it sounds like same with last year with the Lions, but no. And then Quinnen Williams, another guy you didn't mention there that I just on the defensive side. I'm like, dominant. And I think it's a big culture shift. New coach in with Saleh, or now a couple of years in, but I think that's a huge shift in just not being a losing culture. And then you get a guy, Aaron Rodgers, who's actually won one. I can trash talk him a little bit and say he's only got one. But the fact that he actually knows the game, he's coming in. The chemistry, it seems like you see on Hard Knocks, is outstanding. He looks like he's really well put together. So that'll actually be a team I think has some legitimacy behind him.
Wow. And that is the conference that is run by the Kansas City Chiefs. So, whew.
You even got the Chiefs winning their division.
Call me crazy. I have them finishing with the same record.
As who? As the Chargers?
As the Denver Broncos.
Oh, okay. I didn't watch that one. I saw the NFC North, and I did not. I thought AFC West is give me Chiefs. Okay, that's sure.
All right, but I will admit, looking back at it, I think it was I had the Chiefs losing to the Raiders in Vegas. I guess listen, that game could easily be the Kansas City Chiefs. So if you just want to take that game and give it to the Chiefs and the Chiefs win the division, I'm not like, oh no, Denver Broncos are winning this division. I'm not on that, but I'm saying when I went through the records, I went through the schedule, predicted it all. That's how the chips fell. But I will say, first bold prediction is the Denver Broncos will finish with a better record than the Denver Broncos will finish with the record of at least 11-6. The Denver Broncos will be in the playoffs this year. Sean Payton, you want to talk about culture shifts? That's a culture shift. Russell Wilson, I said, if Sean Payton's not able to fix him, then we can actually have the discussion that Russell Wilson has officially fallen off the cliff. But until I see that, I'm going to say I'm putting my faith in Russ. I'm putting my real faith in Sean Payton to change that around. It sucks what keeps happening out there. Tim Patrick cannot get on the field. It sucks for him. I think that's 3 straight seasons. Jerry Jeudy just suffered a hamstring, if I'm not mistaken. He's out several weeks. That's tough. But I don't. Their game is not going to be predicated on throwing the football all over the field. Sean Payton kind of spoiled it for everybody. It's going to be a lot of play action. Going to be a lot of rollouts. Going to be a lot of run game. Javonte Williams going to be a workhorse. That's why I said when Jonathan Taylor requested that trade, Justin, I was like, a sleeper is Denver. If they had the cap space, which I don't think they do, but if they wanted to, they could have dove on him. I don't know why they didn't try and go for Dalvin Cook. That would have been a great pairing with Javonte coming off the ACL and having Dalvin Cook, but it's neither here nor there. That's my first bold prediction. But the one that I'm really, really on, right, is this one.
Oh, no.
The Cleveland Browns are going to finish with the best record in the AFC at 13-4. Tied with the Cincinnati Bengals, but the Cleveland Browns will win the AFC North. The Cleveland Browns, Deshaun Watson will return to MVP form. Amari Cooper is going to have a great year. Nick Chubb's going to have another outstanding year. The O-line's top 5. We know about that. Myles Garrett's an animal. Denzel Ward is just getting better. The defense is starting to get together. Guys, Cleveland Browns are coming.
Oh, my gosh, man. Yo, Sean, I don't know if you've seen this. I told myself I must be living in a bizarro world because he came here one day telling me, listen to this. Imagine hearing this 5 years ago, okay? Jets winning the East, Browns winning the North, Broncos winning the West, and then who was the other one?
Say in the South, was it like
the Bucks? I have the
and
Bucks.
Then Jaguars.
5 years ago.
Jaguars
That's
winning the
crazy.
South.
5 years
And
ago,
I was
you
like,
just
oh my gosh, I'm living in a bizarro world right now.
you're just looking at the division upside down. That's the problem. Yeah.
It's coming. It's coming, guys. You guys, it's coming.
This year, it makes some. I don't knock it. The AFC North division is honestly kind of crazy. I feel like it could go any number of ways. I give a lot of respect to all the teams in there. Bengals, Steelers, Ravens. I mean, any of them, I could see an argument being made that they're going to be good. I don't know if I think they're all going to beat each other up. I don't think anyone's going 13 wins. I think they're all going to be doing some gritty.
I do. So since you didn't see it, Sean, I do have the Steelers finishing 9-8, the Ravens 12-5, the Bengals 13-4, and the Browns 13-4. So all of them finished with a positive record. 3 teams making the playoffs.
Where are they beating the crap out of the AFC East? Where all the wins go?
Where all the AFC East. Here's another bold prediction Brandon has. So the Jets I have with you. I have the Jets winning the AFC East at 11-6, but the Buffalo Bills missing the playoffs at 10-7.
I'm a big Josh Allen guy, so I don't like that at all.
Now here's the thing about the Bills, right? Just I have them finishing 5-1 in their division. I have them even finishing starting 4-0 to start the season. So it's just towards the end of the season, they start falling off. I have them losing to games against the Cincinnati Bengals, the Jaguars in England, Kansas City, some other games there. I just think that the like you guys, Aaron Rodgers, brings in a different type of attitude than a guy like Zach Wilson. All right. And that team was already good last year. They're said to be a quarterback away. Well, guess what? You didn't just get a quarterback. You got the quarterback, Aaron freaking Rodgers. All right. So I think they're going to win the division. And I just think at 10-7 still, I think they missed the playoffs with the Buffalo Bills. I think that they are kind of being stagnated right now. You have Josh Allen. You have Stephon Diggs. I'm high on Kincaid. He could have a breakout year. It might take him a year, but he can be very good at the tight end position. But other than that, the O-line is shaky. The run game is average, maybe at best. That's kind of being nice. Not counting Josh Allen's running ability. I'm talking running backs. And then besides Stephon Diggs in the receiving core, Gabriel Davis, did he prove everybody right about he was supposed to be this elite number 2, and he was nothing near that. Just shaky.
Yeah.
And then the defense is hit or miss. Tre'Davious White is coming off the ACL. He should be better this year. But guess who else is out? The guy that you paid a lot of money for, the supposed difference maker, Von Miller. It's shaky. I'm just shaky on that team.
I'm still a believer in the Bills. I really do believe. One, I think Sean McDermott is a fantastic coach. Since he stepped in as the Buffalo coach, he's changed. He's righted the ship a long time ago, and I feel like they're still in the right direction. It's just, like I said, they need to make a couple moves. My dream scenario would be Jonathan Taylor finds his way in Buffalo, and then they go from there, having that bell cow running back. But I'm still a believer in the Bills. I still think they win 11 games. I don't think they win the division. Like I said, I got the Jets winning the division and going to the damn Super Bowl. So, but I'm not afraid to say, man, Josh Allen can go toe-to-toe with just about anybody in this league. You can put him in Arrowhead, and I think I have just as good of a chance as anybody. If you put him to go toe-to-toe with Mahomes or toe-to-toe with Joe Burrow, he's one of those guys that he just has that dog in him, you know? So I'm a big Josh Allen guy. I still believe in the Bills. I think in one of these next few years, we'll find them in a Super Bowl. I think they're just Josh Allen is too good, and he's been too close.
That guy.
I think in his career, I think for sure. I don't know if he wins one. I think he's got the talent to get him there, and then it depends on the team around him. I think overall for this year, I just was fascinated by the Broncos pick to make the AFC or just make the playoffs in general, because I'm looking at it and I'm thinking it's honestly going to be AFC East versus AFC North this year for the wild card spots. I feel like honestly 2 teams from one of those divisions can take it. Chiefs have the West. Chargers, I think, could make a decent play. Broncos and Raiders are they're good teams, but they're finding themselves in a tough spot.
I hear you on that. With the Broncos, they're kind of like on that pendulum. Like it easily could go really good, or it can go, we're in trouble again, and Russ is out of there, and now they're in cap hell. And Sean Payton is looking at himself like, fuck, I made a terrible decision. I made the wrong choice coming to Denver.
That definitely could.
What was his other contention? Where else was he supposed to? It was between Denver and who?
Was it the chart? No, it wasn't the chart.
Was it Tampa? Was it Tampa, or was it? I thought it was one of the South teams.
I think it might have been Tampa. Well, no, it wouldn't have been. It would have been somebody that fired their coach. They didn't fire Bulls.
Oh yeah.
I forget who it was. I forget who it was, to be honest with you. But there was another team. I know I was pushing him to go to Dallas, but Jerry obviously didn't fire Mike McCarthy like I think he should. But I shouldn't say that. That's terrible. Well, not really. He's not the guy for the job, and the Dallas Cowboys have always been held back by their head coach since freaking Jimmy Johnson. It has been a Jerry Jones negative effect on the team that he just wants to choose a head coach that he can kind of puppet control, and he doesn't want a guy with his own voice. But if you went and got Sean Payton, guess what? Your team would actually be talked about better than the Eagles and better than the Niners. I'm telling you that.
I'm surprised your bold prediction wasn't the Dallas Cowboys are going to win the Super Bowl. Well, I really thought that's exactly where he was going with this. That's why I was shaking my head.
Well, Justin, we're gonna do our yearly predictions on Thursday. So we're gonna decide. We're gonna do our preseason Super Bowl picks and all that stuff, and we're gonna see how things. I haven't made my full decision yet, but chips are falling. I told you the NFC is weak.
Yeah. I mean,
Sean,
I'm just so surprised about the Doodle Browns that you just do.
Listen. It's because okay. You know what? And I want to get Sean's opinion on this. Then I want Sean to give us his bold predictions or a couple of them.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson. Right, we know what happened, but this is what I see with Cleveland, right, and why I'm so high on them. Because last year I came into the season and I said this is what the Browns are. They're waiting on next year. They are contenders next year because I don't care what Deshaun Watson did in that 6-game stretch. I think it was 6 or 8. I don't care what he did in that stretch, and I don't think anybody should care what he did in that stretch. Because you shouldn't have expected anything. He was a year and a half off football, wasn't even allowed to be in his team facility. So not even be around his teammates and coaches and get continuity and chemistry. You put a whole season around him. Now he's able to do that. The team is very good. The team is elite. The O-line at top 5. You have Amari Cooper, Nick Chubb, the defense. When Baker and that year, the third year, right, when Stefanski came in, that team was stacked, and a lot of people, including myself, pegged the Cleveland Browns to be possible Super Bowl contenders, and they were lost by 5 points to the Kansas City Chiefs. Couple things go their way. They're in the AFC Championship game. Now you take Deshaun Watson. I don't think anybody's going to argue Deshaun Watson is how much better of a quarterback than Baker Mayfield, both at their peaks, right? We've never, unless you're telling me that we are going to see a guy who didn't get injured or anything, just completely go from MVP to nothing. So I want to get your thoughts on that. Like, what are your thoughts on the Cleveland Browns, and where do you have them ranking coming up this season?
Yeah, well, no, first off, I think I do believe that, yeah, like last year having 6 games, that's just the warm up. That's the runway they gave him with that crazy contract to be like, all right, we're going to get you a chance to like get back to regular. The biggest comparable in my mind for them now and even going forward is the Jaguars, basically, and looking at like the 2017 Jaguars, Blake Bortles, and like how close they were to making it to the Super Bowl, crashing and burning, and then needing to go full reset. And that's kind of where I feel like the Browns, like they got that close, lost by 5 to the Chiefs, and they were just they could have just kept beating themselves up. They kind of had to go through that hard reset. So I don't know if I'm looking at the division, I mean, it's tough for me to say that the Bengals aren't going to win it, just knowing what they've done with their team, knowing Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, and just across the board, Joe Mixon's still a consistent guy. So it's tough to look at that. Irv Smith, Vikings tight end, shout out to come in. But I could definitely see them being a wild card team this year. It's going to be them or the Ravens in my mind. And then the Steelers, I mean, that's actually one of my to transition, but I think Mike Tomlin keeps his above 500 record alive. So I also think the Steelers are still going to stay 9-8 this year. Yeah. It's going to be a fun division to watch.
Yeah. So my whole thing with, I think me and Justin differ on that, where he's like kind of shocked by the Cleveland Browns pick, is I just expect Deshaun to go back to that MVP form. I think that's just kind of what we should expect from him, because he didn't suffer an injury or anything. It was just, what it was. He had 20 plus cases. He had to I don't want to say get through that, but deal with that, handle that, do whatever he needed to do with that. And now that that's passed, now we're in a different age of Deshaun Watson. I expect that Deshaun is just going to have to go back to what he was. And if he doesn't, it's going to be the first time in, I think, sports history. I don't think you can make it. I don't know who you can pull out of your hat for sports historians out there that they can find a guy who didn't receive an injury, didn't get injured, took a year and a half off from their sport or however long, and just came back and never reached that pinnacle again. That's crazy, especially at 25, 26 years old. Hasn't even reached his prime.
You know what, though? I think what we're not looking at is the QB landscape of the AFC when he was at his peak of powers, winning 4 games with the Houston Texans before, everything happened. Yeah. Everybody else that was in that division, that was an AFC. That was Patrick Mahomes. I believe Tom Brady in his first year in England. And
Roethlisberger was still there.
Yeah, but nobody at that same time was looking at Steelers as contenders. So I'm looking at those top-tier quarterbacks. It's Brady, Mahomes. Who else was eating in the AFC at that time? Now, Josh Allen has emerged. Lamar Jackson with his weapons. Lamar Jackson was around at that time, too. So Mahomes, Brady, Lamar. Now it's Josh Allen. Now it's Lamar. Now it's Justin Herbert. Now it's Trevor Lawrence. Patrick Mahomes is still doing his thing. So Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, but what I think you're failing to realize is that when Deshaun went on that playoff run that he did, stop bringing up the 4-12 season, okay?
I just wanted to remind you that his
I know what happened. It was in his history. Bill O'Brien is a terrible GM, and he traded DeAndre Hopkins for David Johnson. Justin. Mm-hmm. You tell me you're going to have a better season or just as good of a season if your GM does that, okay? You're not.
This isn't about the 4-12 season. This is about the TV landscape. I just threw it out there.
When he lost to the Kansas City Chiefs, albeit in a comeback loss, that Mahomes did what Mahomes usually does, right? People were talking Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes as next up, and the guys who's going to be the best quarterback of the league when like Brady and them start to dwindle down, which he never did and used to go all the way to the end. So I think you're forgetting that part. That
but now look at all these quarterbacks that are
okay, but that doesn't mean shit to me, Justin, because Deshaun Watson is better than those dudes.
No.
Except for maybe Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow is the one guy that I would say, okay, at their peak of powers, that's tough for me to describe. But I want to see that Deshaun he hasn't even reached, dude.
Would you put Deshaun above Lamar Jackson right now?
Right now.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, what do you mean right now? But
if you're if you're GM,
what do I think? Who do I think is going to have a better season?
Yeah, let's go that way.
Deshaun Watson.
Really?
Yeah, because also I think Lamar Jackson is most likely shown us he's probably going to get hurt.
I don't know if I think of either of those guys this year. I mean, just injury risk side. Honestly, I think Deshaun Watson. I'd be more concerned with the level of like getting hit and maybe being out of the game for a little while. But I think Deshaun Watson. I don't think he's going to lose a step. I feel like it's one of those easy plugins. He's going to get back to it. I am fascinated to see how he'll do. Maybe taking a little bit of the running game out of it and maybe focusing more on pocket passing and he was always skillful there. So, but I think it's tough where he's probably a top 5, top 10. I'm going to give myself some leeway and give 7 or 8, put him at 7 or 8, but he's probably a top 10 quarterback for sure, but he's probably 3rd in his division.
I mean, that
John, I have him outside of my top 10.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I think it's I get what Brandon says about, this guy didn't suffer a catastrophic injury.
Yeah.
What's going to hold him back from returning to MVP form? His best season came in a 4-win season, bro. I'm not really looking at anything else. I'm dead honest with you. He played in the AFC South, where his competition was the Colts, the Jaguars, and the Titans.
Justin, you are a Patriots fan.
That was his division.
You're a Patriots fan.
Was it Andrew Luck, Colts,
and he won 4 games. Okay, and so now
I think that was the
like
one
I said.
Luck, yeah.
He's playing in a division now where he has Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is no longer.
He's got Joe Burrow,
but now
Lamar,
he's with Joe Burrow,
and Kenny Pickett.
Lamar, Kenny Pickett, and I'm crossing out Kenny Pickett and saying Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, that's fine. Justin, what you're not realizing though is
this is
you are a Patriots fan. Tom Brady. What is the knock on Brady?
Deshaun Watson is not Tom Brady.
Nobody's saying that. I'm talking about comparisons. It's a hype. Justin, oh my God.
It's not even a comparison because Tom Brady's never won a comparison.
You're not hearing me.
Okay.
The comparison is their divisions are weak. What are we talking about here? Okay, that they had weak competition. You're dealt the cards you're dealt, and you have to play that hand. It's not his fault. He's got to do it.
What does he do with the hand?
He made the playoffs one year, okay, and almost beat the Kansas City Chiefs. And then he had a 4-12 season because his freaking GM decided to trade one of the best receivers in football for a running back who was done after one season in Arizona. You're failing to realize that one.
Oh, man.
What did they surround Deshaun Watson with in Houston? What has Houston ever been, Justin?
I realize it.
Listen, what has Houston ever been?
I just,
I said, Carr,
the quarterback landscape. First off, don't shit on Matt Schaub. Matt Schaub had some nice.
Matt Schaub was an okay quarterback.
Matt Schaub was a top 5 fantasy QB at one point. I'm not going to be able to quote the year. I want to say 2009, 2010.
Matt Schaub or was it Andre Johnson and Arian Foster and Owen Daniels?
I mean, it's still Matt Schaub throwing the ball.
Exactly.
It was, but and I'm not trying to shit on Matt Schwab or Schaub. I've heard it both ways. I've heard it both ways.
Yeah.
He was a solid quarterback. But this Houston Texans we're talking, they were never real threats. They were never threats of anything. Then Deshaun came around, a guy who freaking beat Alabama.
Alabama? Are we talking college now?
I'm just saying it's in his accomplishments. You know what?
One, I didn't expect I just want to shout out Matt Schaub. I did not expect everyone to mention a Matt Schaub throw in there. So that was,
you mentioned
that was cool. But
Matt Schaub, all right. I threw out Owen Daniels. That's another deep. All right. All right. So let's.
But yeah, before we move on, last thing, like I said, the QB landscape is completely different now in the AFC. There's a lot more things to contend with for me to just straight up say, oh yeah, Deshaun Watson's just gonna pick up where he left off.
Yeah.
It's a different world. That's like Captain America when he just got unfrozen and he's walking into a completely new world. This is a new game now.
I'm pretty sure he figured it out pretty damn well, right?
Well, Deshaun Watson really isn't Captain America.
Well, I mean, you're the one who made the comparison. But before we move on, Sean, yeah. What is your biggest bold prediction? Like the one that you're like,
it's most. I was gonna say I jotted down a couple ones. If you guys are open to it, I can rip through them. You just respond to whichever one because there's definitely some probably conversation topic here. I had Jets in the Super Bowl. I have Anthony Richardson Rookie of the Year, which I don't think is too much of a stretch. I had a quick credit to you, Brandon, just because I think the landscape is there. Baker Mayfield Comeback Player of the Year on there. I have Dameon Pierce, speaking of the Texans, leading the league in rushing. I think that's a sneaky one.
Interesting.
And then a Michael Thomas. This might not be as bold as it could be. Michael Thomas just coming back and being Michael Thomas. He's coming back and being in the same spot.
There's another one. I mean, he was dealing with the injuries, but he's been off for 2 years basically. He hasn't. The only one that I would say is the Anthony Richardson one. I think it is. I think we went from a guy who last year or even before the draft people were telling me, the experts, right? This guy's a 2 to 3 year project, and slowly but surely. He went from 2 to 3 year project to maybe sitting out a year to now he's got a QB competition with Gardner Minshew to now he's the starting quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts in his rookie season. I think that is too much too soon. I also don't really like him doing the Eagles fly in a preseason game. I saw a tweet from Dave Portnoy that I think summed it up perfectly. Doing that in a preseason game is definitely bust type of energy, and I'm not with that. So that's not the reason, but Anthony Richardson, I think too much too soon. I don't think he's ready. I don't think that receiving core is that great. Michael Pittman's very good, but I don't think he's going to ever be a number one. I think he's a very good number 2. Jonathan Taylor's on his way out. Hopefully the O-line is back to what it was, but I just think that is they're asking a lot from a guy who struggled in college football, throwing the football.
Do you have a Rookie of the Year pick separate from Richardson?
I haven't thought about it yet. Off the top of my head, because we're doing our yearly predictions on Thursday. Off the top of my head, probably Bijan Robinson.
Yep. I was just gonna say that, but
yeah.
Bijan Robinson,
maybe even Jahmyr Gibbs too. I think Jahmyr Gibbs could have it because they have a great O line. Yeah, and they're going to use him a lot. I'm trying to think of a receiver who was drafted in the
touch on the Vikings. Jordan Addison might have a monster.
I would say I would love that. I know other receivers. I mean, Quentin Johnson, Zay Flowers, like there are definitely some guys. Zay could be up there. I think in my mind with Anthony Richardson and putting him down, I just think that he's huge boomer bust. He is and absolutely getting the QB1, doing the fly Eagles fly. In my mind, I mean, I'm thinking a little Baker, little Johnny, like little you like that exactly. Yeah, give him a little confidence, let him run with it. He's got a good young receiving core around him, fast as hell. I mean, he'll have as good an opportunity as he can be. If he reminds me of coming in and doing some Cam Newton dual threat. Yeah. I think if he's either going to do that or he's going to fall right on his face.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Either he's going to be Cam Newton or he is going to be not Cam Newton.
I think my comeback player of the year is Lamar Jackson.
Well, yeah, you have him as MVP, so I mean, if you think that, he's going to double up on those awards there. Yeah. So here's a quick little topic I wanted to do. Quick takes. Let me pull up the photo first so I have it ready. Professional this time. Yes. Do I have your attention now? I just want to ask, who has your attention for Christmas Day this year? It used to be run by the NBA. But now the NFL said, fuck that shit. We're coming for your heads, NBA. And now the NFL is coming for the NBA. So I'm going to read you off the slate of games for Christmas Day 2023. 12 p.m. Milwaukee Bucks at New York Knicks. I know Justin's going to be on that. But 1 p.m., guess what the NFL said? Hold my beer. Las Vegas Raiders at Kansas City Chiefs. 2:30, we got the Golden State Warriors at Denver Nuggets. And then the NFL says, hold my double beer. Here's a rivalry for the ages. The New York Giants taking on the Eagles in Philly at 4:30. At 5 p.m., we got Boston renewing a rivalry at Los Angeles taking on the Lakers. That's a great game. 8 p.m., a game for Mr. Brandon over here. The Sixers are going to Miami to take on the Heat. 8:15, we got the Baltimore Ravens headed to San Francisco to take on the Niners. And finally at 10:30, which I just is like a game at 10:30 is crazy. The Dallas Mavericks are headed to Phoenix to take on the Suns. Who has your attention?
So fortunately for me, the only NBA game that I'll be watching starts at 12. So I have a whole hour where it doesn't interfere with any football games.
Nope.
So I'll be watching my Knicks in that first game and then tuning into the rest of the NFL. But the biggest difference is the NFL wins here for the simple fact that it's such a short season. These games all mean something. In the NBA, I can, slip up and lose a game here and there. In the NFL, you slip up and lose a game, you might find yourself three games back now behind another team. So in the NFL, it's just much more important to steal these games. It's December. It's coming closer and closer to playoff times. Some of these teams might be fighting for seeding positioning, or just the Raiders at that point in time might be fighting for a playoff spot and needing a win in Arrowhead. So, NFL wins. They always do.
So I'm going to go with I was just looking over to be sure because I was doing a bit of my research yesterday. The Lions and Vikings play Christmas Eve. So for me, I'm very excited. I got Lions and Vikings Christmas Eve, and then Christmas Day. I'm a Celtics fan. So for me, it's going to be Celtics Lakers. I'm not going to miss an opportunity to tune into that rivalry. But I do agree with you, Justin, on the NFL side. I mean, you got to probably going to do my dual monitor setup and do that. But that's probably Celtics Lakers, the only NBA team I might switch over and start watching that one instead of the football game for a bit.
Yeah, and that sucks for you, Sean, because 4:30 is the Giants Eagles, and then 5 o'clock is the Celtics Lakers. So
it's a tough time spot. Yeah, wouldn't like they a nice like noon, nice 11 a.m. something like that.
And what Justin hit on was perfectly right. But I will say about Christmas Day, the players usually do bring that type of playoff atmosphere to those games because they know so many eyeballs are on it. So that's all I'd have to say about that. But yeah, the NFL is gonna dominate. The weakest game is most likely Raiders Chiefs, but that can also easily be a 30-point shootout game if both teams just start lighting up the scoreboard.
Well, think of it like this. It's fantasy implications too. The end of the fantasy football season. So you're going to have a lot of people tuned in on that.
Oh yeah, that's
going to be playoffs at least probably. That's like week 15-ish. I want to say.
I'm checking it right now. Christmas Day is week 16, so that is literally probably the championship game. So that is that. Yep, Justin's right. That's going to be playoff implications. And not to mention Christmas Eve. Yeah, Christmas Eve is stacked with games because it's Sunday. Broncos Patriots play on the NFL Network at 8:15. So I guess honestly, who's the losers? It's the NBA, but the winners are the fans because they get insane action bell to bell from 12 p.m. to 1 o'clock in the morning when the Phoenix Suns and Dallas Mavericks stop playing on East Coast time, I should say. People on the West Coast are going to be enjoying that. But that was a quick little topic I wanted to ask you guys. Who has your attention for that? But I'm going to bring another game to you guys. Me and Justin have been playing this for a little bit, Sean. I don't know if you were able to catch it.
Yeah, I have seen a couple of these. These have been exciting. I think it is a fun one to tune in.
And we're gonna do the one that we did last week over again, the second one, not the first initial one, because I think me and Justin actually did disrespect somebody, and that's not okay. We need to redo that. So fourth ballot, are these guys NFL Hall of Famers? Yes or no? This is the guy that I believe we disrespected, Justin, and I'm going to reverse my pick. Kevin Williams is a Hall of Famer.
That was maybe one of them that I was watching, and I was like, Vikings represent. Yeah, if you're putting
I had to look him up because I was like, I feel
Williams
like
Wall, baby.
Kevin Williams did. He was a 5-time first-team All-Pro, multiple-time Pro Bowler. He was a mainstay on the defensive line for years, so I have to give it to Kevin Williams. He's a Hall of Famer.
Okay, so maybe I'll reverse my pick then because I wasn't familiar, I guess, with the rest of the stat sheet. It's just, when I think of Hall of Famers, you think of that household name that sticks with you, and he's just not one of them for me.
That's fair. I'm thinking Shaq right out of TNT when he's just like, I'm sorry, I was not familiar with your game. Christian Wood, yeah.
Not familiar with your game.
No disrespect. Didn't know your game.
No disrespect. And so here's another one near and dear to me and Justin's heart. And we already said yes on this, but Logan Mankins, yes, Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, Sean's agreeing there. Another one that's close to Sean's heart, we gave him a yes, Jared Allen.
Yeah, I think you gotta.
Yep.
22 and a half sacks. Yeah.
22, the tie for the record.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to get that damn record, dude.
Micah Parsons this year.
If they let him run,
prediction.
If they let him rush, I feel like, I don't know if they're going to let him, though. I feel like he's too dangerous everywhere.
Let the pigeons loose, baby. Dan Quinn.
I was thinking Quinn Williams with the how he was on Hard Knocks, and he's like, 10 sacks. I got 10 sacks today.
Micah Parsons, that he is different. He is different.
Terrible.
Wes Welker, I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. I can't give him the nod.
I said no, but definitely a Patriot Hall of Famer. His peak wasn't long enough.
Say that's actually one I meant to look up his stats because I saw you guys debating that one, and I think he's right on line. I'm probably going to lean no, but he's like Ring of Honor for sure.
Yeah, my whole thing was, Sean, I believe Julian Edelman is a better wide receiver than Wes Welker, and if I don't think Julian is a Hall of Famer, then I can't put Wes Welker in the Hall of Fame.
That stuff, I think almost accolade wise, I'd put Wes Welker like above Julian. I think as a receiver, honestly, you could definitely say Julian's definitely better, but that one's I'm probably leaning no by a smidge, but I could see the argument for it.
I just think Edelman came up in the clutch more than Wes Welker. I mean, Wes Welker's known for what? The drop pass in the 2012 Super Bowl against the Giants. So
but remember, this is another thing where it's so many.
It was not a bad pass. It was a good pass.
Patriot teams. There were
a good pass.
No, I'm not talking about that. You get two hands on the football. You got to bring it down.
You got to make the catch, man.
You got to bring it down. But no, I can't see the argument where we say Julian Edelman is a better receiver than Wes Welker. Those numbers are explosive. Looking at the stats,
but you're looking. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Men lie, women lie. Numbers don't.
But numbers don't. Okay, now you're being not okay. Numbers don't. Check the postseason numbers, then, brother.
Yeah,
Julian Edelman is only number 2 to guess who? Jerry Rice. And he's a Super Bowl MVP.
Did Travis Kelce pass him yet?
Okay, Travis Kelce did, but he was for a very long. All right, take out the tight ends, receivers only. Julian Edelman is all right, and he's a Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah,
so put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Listen, man.
Next up on the list,
I think Wes Welker is one of my favorite receivers of all time, and so is Jules. But there's a big difference between how quick Wes Welker was compared to Julian Edelman.
You're not remember. Okay, the quickness. You can have the quick. Dude, you're not remember.
It's been so long since we've seen Wes Welker in a Patriot uniform that I think you're forgetting how fantastic of a route runner that guy was.
You know what I'm debating a bit too is if this is not a statistical thing that should be analyzed as any measure of like versus, but I'm thinking if I go to a Patriots game now, and I'm looking at retired players' jerseys, I almost think I see probably more Wes Welker jerseys than Julian Edelman's. I might, if I'm thinking like the historical ones to break out, I might be wrong, but
you could be right there. I just think, and I do. For me, Julian Edelman just always came up in the clutch more than Wes Welker, and the moments that you remember, the hit from Cam Chancellor where he still goes 10 more yards in the Super Bowl, the catch in the Atlanta Falcons game. Julian Edelman to me was just you give the quickness, that's fine. But Julian Edelman, especially where he came from before, I just think Julian Edelman is for my money, I would take Julian Edelman. I just would. So next up, fifth ballot. Is Patrick Willis a Hall of Famer?
Yes.
I'm going to say no. It's a different, I know household name, absolutely there. I don't, and absolutely the stats can be put up and compared. I think the tough thing for me is longevity, and that's the only thing. I think dominant, but
yeah, he played for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. He's a rookie of the year, defensive rookie of the year, 5-time first team All Pro, 1-time second team, 7-time Pro Bowler, led the NFL in tackles twice, all decades team for 2010. I think he's similar. I think he's a similar ilk to Cam Chancellor. Where Cam Chancellor actually was never a first team All Pro, which actually shocks me because he was so elite at that time. But I think that's kind of the similar place I put Patrick Willis. I think eventually he's probably going to get in, but it is tough with the longevity because if we're going to use longevity as a stat that like a prerequisite to get in the NFL Hall of Fame, then I think we have to be consistent all the way through. And if we're going to be consistent, then Patrick Willis, I think, misses the boat there.
Well, you see, that's the thing, the longevity thing. We could argue that all we want, but in all his 8 seasons in the NFL, he was you said 7-time All-Pro?
6-team All-Pro, yeah.
6-team All-Pro. It's absolutely ridiculous. That guy was up there with
Ray Lewis, John Beeson.
The world. So he was an absolute monster. He set himself apart, a part of the who's got it better than us 49ers. That doesn't happen without Patrick Willis anchoring the defense. So, yeah, I'd say absolute yes. Household name, has the stats to back it up. It's going to be an interesting one. Like, reminds me a little bit of what will Luke Kuechly's.
Thank you for bringing him up, because that's what I was about to bring up right now. He's not eligible yet. He retired in 2019, so he's got 2 more years, I think. He had 7 years as well. His accomplishments look like this: Defensive Player of the Year, so Defensive Player of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, 5-time First-Team All-Pro, 2-time Second Team, 7-time Pro Bowler, led the NFL in tackles twice, and was an All-Decades team in 2010.
I say yes to Luke Kuechly.
It's tough.
That's another tough one because of the longevity. He has the accomplishments, but you retired early.
And you know what? I'm a bit what I was just having a good debate that I feel like on, and Justin, you might relate to this one, but I was having a good debate on the baseball side with Tim Lincecum being just because I don't think he's it's really tough, but I think he's probably not going to make the Hall of Fame. But he was absolutely dominant for a short stretch, and it's really tough to point to. But it's a little bit of that longevity sake. But I also think baseball is so much more traditional and strict with how they're going to do it. I'd be curious if NFL, eventually maybe gets a little bit of gimme, just knowing the modern game and how dominant they were
affects it. Yeah.
I guess, you know what, the way I see it is I don't look at the longevity thing as, he didn't have a long career. No, when I consider longevity, how long was he good for? So Tim Lincecum was good for a spurt. He had the 2 Cy Youngs, making it to the World Series, 3 World Series championships. That's all there. But then you have these long stints of just what happened, And I don't feel like in this argument where Patrick Willis and Luke Kuechly, they retired in their primes. They still had plenty of football left. Tim Lincecum left the game already a shell of himself, So that's where I don't see one for that. Tim Lincecum, to me, he is not a Hall of Famer, but definitely to live up to his nickname, one of the freaks of our generation. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what makes the NFL Hall of Fame, the Hall of Fame in general, just an interesting discussion, because it's like I'm gonna do this one day, probably the next couple of days now, because I'm a degenerate. I'm gonna go down. I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna make like a list of a categorization of like what makes you a Hall of Famer, and I'm gonna have much more definitive answers on these. But you have to have an outline for this when you're doing this. You have to have like a thing, and it's like production has to be an elite level. You have to be one of the best players at your position for a long time, like Justin said, or just one of the best players in the league. Period. You have to have some type of longevity, in my opinion. I think I guess, I don't know if 8 is considered long enough, but it could be. See, again, I just would have to sit down and really think about this and dive into it, which I'm going to do.
And my quick throw in too, if either of those guys, it's dumb as hell because it shouldn't be this way. But if either of those guys had a ring and I think that's probably, if you have 8 years and you got a ring, even on the defensive side of the ball, and you have a memorable game that way, I think
that's what, Cam Chancellor, he's got a ring. Yeah, he's got no first-team All-Pros. Kuechly has a Defensive Player of the Year. He played in the Super Bowl. Patrick Willis has no Defensive Player of the Year. He did play in the Super Bowl, though. So, give and take there. Next up on the list, Josh Cribbs.
No.
I don't
think so either. I give it. So. Yeah, I give it to Devin Hester. I can't give it to Josh.
Yeah, that's a tough balance. That actually does one that I've had some debate, but like Cordero Patterson, if he were to get a little farther down with return game, that's a tough thing because Hester's just legendary himself.
I don't know if in my head I could ever see somebody surpassing Devin Hester as a straight up return man greatest of all time. That's a tough one. That's like kind of MJ to me, Tom Brady. Like it's just, I don't see anybody surpassing you in my eyes because I just, like you said, the legendary moments of Devin Hester, the first
Super
kickoff
Bowl.
in the Super. Yep, exactly.
Yeah,
the first kickoff in the Super Bowl.
About, yeah.
Come on, dude. Come on. Next up, Lance Briggs.
I haven't heard that name in a long time.
I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. Just to remind you on his one-time first team All-Pro, one-time second team, 7-time Pro Bowler, 11 seasons. Only 15 sacks. He was more of a coverage linebacker.
No.
16 interceptions, 19 forced fumbles, 1,000+ tackles. I still say no.
I think Lance Briggs was an absolute stud, though. I'm going to say yes. But remember, so it's just like he plays in the time with the guys like Ray.
You wouldn't be. I'm sorry,
like
Justin. You would not be on my table if I was commissioner of the NFL Hall of Fame. You're too nice. I don't like this at all. I am strict about it. Yes, I'm strict.
He's the Hall of great. He's the Hall of
very
really good.
Yeah,
very good.
This is the Hall of Fame. This is the you got your Urlachers, you got your Ray Lewises. Okay, Lance Briggs.
I mean, there's kids going there in 2050 that are looking and going like, how the heck is this guy? Is this 7-time Pro? Who's this guy?
We're looking at the same
sacks?
way. We're looking at the same way with players back in the day in the 50s and 60s. You look at some guys that are in the Hall of Fame now. You're like, how the hell did this guy get in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, we got some quarterback.
You got Terrell Owens waiting 6 years. You got Sterling Sharp, who's yet to be in the Hall of Fame. You got guys like that. You got what? All right, next up, last on the 5th ballot, Reggie Wayne.
Yes.
I think yes.
Yeah. Reggie Wayne was a beast.
Am I back on the table now?
No, you're still not, but that's better. That's better. Reggie Wayne should get in. Especially because he's like 5th. He's not a first ballot, but like he's down there. He should get into the Hall of Fame. I just want to So I have a set another list, and I know I want to let you guys talk a little baseball for a little bit. So Sean, how much longer do you have on your schedule here?
I'm chilling. I'm pretty good. I'm happy to join for
You're
so long.
Okay.
As you guys will have me. Yeah.
So we'll finish up this Hall of Fame list. I'm gonna let you guys dive into some baseball afterwards, and then we'll wrap up the show there.
Cool.
Sure.
So final list. These are just NFL Hall of Famers. These are others, guys that have yet to be inducted, but are some pretty big names, right? First up, Hines Ward.
Yes.
I think also yes. Giving him a lot of credit on the postseason.
A lot of credit on the postseason. 2-time Super Bowl champ. Hines Ward is a Hall of Famer, especially because he's like 7th, 8th ballot. So, like, you got to get in.
Yeah.
Here's another one. Blast from our past. Chad Ochocinco.
Yes.
I might need to
route runners of all time.
Great. You said greatest or one of?
One of.
Okay, I thought I was like,
it's the greatest.
man.
I might need a quick refresher just to make sure in comparables, but I probably lean yes, but I'd be fat. He's one that I think is flash in the pan-ish.
766 receptions, 11,059 yards, 67 touchdowns, 3-time first team All-Pro, 1-time second team, 6-time Pro Bowler, led the league in receiving yards once.
Yeah, I probably get him in, but he's a few ballots down. Yeah.
I mean, when he was in his prime, like Justin said, this guy, the footwork was outstanding.
Yeah.
The entertainment status was legendary. He's one of the greatest entertainers of all time. I'll tell you that much.
For sure.
It just pains me that it didn't work out in New England.
Yep.
When he got acquired, I thought he was going to steal the show for us.
That was the Giants Super Bowl too, and he. I don't know what happened. Okay, let's not talk about that. All right, next up on the list, Darren Sharper.
One of the hardest safeties in the league. Yeah. I probably lean. No, I don't know. I probably lean no, but.
So Darren Sharper, Super Bowl. Justin, you're lagging a lot for us. I don't know if you caught that.
I'm just gonna say no because I don't want to. I got to show you that I'm a little mean, so I could stay on the table.
Okay. Super Bowl champ, 2-time first team All-Pro, 4-time second team All-Pro, 5-time Pro Bowler, led the league in interceptions twice, all decades team in the 2000s.
Can you reread that?
I don't know what did the clip is the clip the thing that I'm like, kind of turning my head and going like maybe he should get in or
I was just saying that's
falling for it like the clip.
There's some name value to it. No, I didn't know that led the league in interceptions twice. I would not have necessarily known that one. And he did win. Did he win the Super Bowl with the Saints?
Yeah, he was the Super Bowl champion. Yep, that was his last season.
Yeah, I mean, I might let him in after waiting a few. Then that's a tough one. That's a pretty good.
Yeah, I hear you there. That's tough. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. He's got good accomplishments, but I don't see Darren Sharper as one of those guys. And I do think that clip is kind of casting a spell on our mind. I love that clip so much. Oh no, he could Darren Sharper. Torrey Holt.
Oh,
Yes.
I say also probably yes, but now I feel like I can't say yes to everybody, but yeah, probably am.
Yeah. I mean, doesn't have the all pros, but 920 receptions, 1,300 plus yards, 74 receiving touchdowns. Champ. Torrey Holt's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Sean Alexander.
No. It's tough, but no. His longevity piece.
How many rushing yards?
9,453, 100 rushing touchdowns exactly.
Yeah.
I don't think so. It was a very short stretch. That
Really dominant year. Really dominant.
MVP, yeah.
Yeah.
You could probably make a good case for Steven Jackson over him, right? Would you say? I think Steven Jackson
was more consistent.
Yeah.
All time, I don't know. I would have to look at Steven Jackson's numbers.
I feel like Steven Jackson's got to be up there for rushing, just knowing how long he went for. That might be.
Yeah, let's
that's
check
an
out
interesting
Steven
one as well.
Jackson. Steven Jackson has he's got more. 11,438 rushing yards and 69 touchdowns, so less touchdowns.
Mm.
Okay.
Played with Jeff Fisher.
He did play with Jeff Fisher, and then he went to the Patriots for a year, right?
Yeah.
Eddie George. I think no again.
Yes.
Oh, Hall of Famer?
Mm-hmm.
I say no. I say no. I think same stratosphere as Sean Alexander.
I'd have to hear Eddie George's stat line again, but
Eddie George, 10,441 yards, 68 rushing touchdowns, rookie of the year offensive, one-time All-Pro, first team, one-time second team All-Pro, four-time Pro Bowler.
I'll reverse mine.
Yeah, dang, actually, yeah, no, I'm gonna go no. I went off a name value, and I was incorrect.
Yep. You were all right. Here's one that gets a lot of debate that a lot of people like. This guy deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. His career sadly was ended shortly by a injury. Sterling Sharp. So his
numbers are crazy though.
Yeah, his numbers for that.
So he played 7 seasons. He had 8,134 yards, 65 touchdowns, 595 receptions, 3-time first team All-Pro, 5-time Pro Bowler, led the league in receptions 3 times, led the league in receiving touchdowns twice, led the league in receiving yards once.
Yeah, he's a Hall of Famer. But the thing is, I know he won't get in for the simple fact that he didn't play long enough. But those numbers clearly tell you where he was going. So I say yes.
Yeah, I do think it's more of like a we're gonna tip our cap to you kind of thing, like but yeah, I think he should get into the Hall of Fame.
I agree.
Final name, not a player, coach. Mike Shanahan, 3-time Super Bowl champ, 1 as an assistant, twice as a head coach, 170 and 138 record, 8-6 in the postseason. Sorry, 178 and 144 all-time career.
I'm going to say yes.
I think he's a Hall of Famer.
I think he goes down as one of those legendary guys, and then the tree that he leaves behind them as well. So, yeah.
Yep. So, okay. So we said a lot of yeses there. I think it's a lot to do with respect for the legends of this sport, but I think those guys are eventually going to get in. But now I'm going to let you, Justin. Are you hearing us all clearly and stuff?
Yeah. So you guys don't hear me? Am I lagging still?
No, we can hear you. Just you're frozen in place. You look like you're smiling.
So yeah, the camera is lagging, but I guess if you can hear us and we hear you fine, then I guess you're good. So I'll let you and Sean have the floor for a little bit. Discuss your bit. I know the Yankees are playing like shit. I know the Red Sox are doing okay. They're not as great as probably Sean would expect, but. So tell me what's going on in the MLB world.
I would love to get into this talk with you, Sean, is your opinion on the rivalry, like, coming from a Yankee and a Red Sox fan. So, because I would love to sit down. I would love to have you on the show another time, sometime in September, where we can talk pennant race. That would be exciting. So, to keep it simple, bro, I would love to know your opinions on the Yankee Red Sox rivalry.
Yeah, I mean, it's the best rivalry in sports. I feel like that's a nice, easy, like, no matter where you go. I mean, I'm out in Minnesota now, and I still feel like some people will throw out Packers rivalry with Vikings, stuff like that. And I'm like, no, like, even as a Vikings fan, there's just nothing to compare. It's the passion for it, the 2000s especially, and then even the little times that it's been more revived recently. Just, I mean, I am a huge lover of 3 Days in October, and our big comeback on you guys. But
Of course you are.
yeah. But actually, that's as a quick plug for whenever you guys were doing just the most inspirational from the other day with Baker Mayfield and like run through a wall, that type of thing. Put Kevin Millar, like, don't let us win one, pretty high up there on, like, don't let us win tonight. Then you got to play us tomorrow, and we win tomorrow. Then we got this. And no, I love the passion off the field. I mean, growing in 2000s, like, I hated the Yankees. I just despised it. I feel like all the players, I mean, Veritek's my favorite player, shoving the glove in A-Rod's face, like, legendary stuff. And nowadays, I mean, it has been cool. And I give respect to the Yankees as an organization where it's been like, you need someone to drive you, keep you like, we need that passion to be like, no, we got to beat the Yankees still. Like, we still got to compete, got to get to that level. It's been fun to see that continue now. And even if it's not as many fist fights, it's at least like some real performance between the two teams and really driving off of trying to run the AL East.
Well, I got a question for you guys. So I'm looking at the standings right now. So I don't think you Red Sox fans really need to, be bragging that hard. The Yankees are 62 and 67, and the Red Sox are 69 and 61. So they ain't that much better.
Yeah.
And they're third in their division. The Red Sox are. The Yankees are last.
Aware. Yep.
So how many games are we into the season right now?
It's a great question. We're pretty deep in. I mean, it's
like three quarters of the way through.
130 games in, almost 120.
Okay. Yes, there's only like 30-ish games left, I'd say.
Okay, so we're kind of when is the World Series? It's October, right?
Correct.
October, and then pretty much
leaks into November.
No. Okay, so November, Derek Jeter, yeah.
Who at this point in the season right now? We'll go Justin, then Sean. What are your guys' predictions for this year's World Series matchup, and who do you think takes it?
Okay, so for me, I was actually correct last year. People called me crazy, but I actually picked the Philadelphia Phillies to get to the World Series. Yeah, and I had the Yankees going to the World Series to take them on a rematch of 2009. Obviously, my team ends up getting swept in the championship series by the Astros. Lucky me. So I actually went to the elimination game, so that was nice. But yeah, so I was right about my NL champion last year, and honestly, this year I don't really see too many teams running in their way. I think they're an absolute gauntlet of a team. I think the Atlanta Braves are going to the World Series again. I think they're absolutely ridiculous team to watch. Ronald Acuna is a stud. The only teams that maybe stand in their way, maybe the Dodgers. The Dodgers have a great group with Mookie Betts having another MVP-style season. But I really can't see anybody knocking off those Braves. Just anything they do. Whatever they touch really just turns to gold right now. So I got the Braves, and unfortunately I saw my Yankees get absolutely demolished in a series against them, which pretty much just sent our season down to the brinks, to Davy Jones' locker if you're a SpongeBob fan. But for the American League side, this one's tough. This one's very tough. It seems like it's very open right now. You got some teams emerging in the Seattle Mariners or the Texas Rangers that might surprise you. Honestly, I'm going to go different than the Astros, like I was leaning towards in the preseason. I'm going to say the Seattle Mariners are going to the World Series this year. It's something I never thought I would say, but watching the run that they went on from a team that was below 500 at one point in the season, 10 games behind the Texas Rangers, to what they're doing right now, anchored by Julio Rodriguez and the crew. I mean, the dude, Brandon, I shared this with you. I mentioned Julio Rodriguez having more hits the same amount of hits as the Yankees in 4 games. He had 17 by himself, and the whole Yankee team had 17 in 4 games. So I think the Seattle Mariners have a good group, and they're going to be a class in the American League for a couple of years to come.
So, Justin, before just repeat your matchup.
Atlanta in the World Series this year. I have the Atlanta Braves representing the NL and the Seattle Mariners representing the American League.
All right, because your camera finally came back into focus, and now you're looking good and better now.
Okay.
All right. So, Sean, who is your matchup for this year's 2023 World Series, and who you got taking it?
Yeah, well, no, Justin, as you were mentioning yours, I'm giving a quick one over on the standings as well, and debating a couple teams. I was kind of pleased. I have two totally different ones, so it's kind of a unique pick here. I will give quick roses. Julio Rodriguez is awesome to watch. Just fun for the game. Young guy, just outstanding. And the Braves are probably my number 2 in the National League. Also, really talented group. National League, I'm going to say the Dodgers. I just feel like they're a good team. They've done it before. Their postseason, stacked. I just feel like that's really tough whenever you get through it. The NL is actually really good this year. I think the Brewers could also have a pretty good run, but I just think for the money where they're at, the Dodgers know it. They're going to do well with it. Dave Roberts, Red Sox legend, as their manager. This little plug-in as well. I think that they're going to do it in the NL. On the American League side, being in Minnesota, it's fun to watch the Twins do well. They're not. There's no shot that they're going to.
I was about to say.
No. Just to preface that, it's fun to see them in the AL Central do something. It'd be cool to go to a playoff game out here. I think the Rays. I think the Rays are going to. I don't know if it's something that they creep up and they take the division over the Orioles, because the Orioles, very respect to them, doing a really.
I thought that's where you were going to go. I thought you were.
Yeah, I think the Rays just whether they get wild card or they sneak by. I think their pitching is outstanding. Like they started the year hot, and I think that they're going to find it near the end of the stretch here, turn it around. So Rays, Dodgers, it feels like the established plug almost at this point, but those are the two I'm predicting.
I like that.
So Justin has the Braves and the Mariners.
Mm-hmm.
Justin, who do you got? Who's your early prediction of taking? Who's the winner of the World Series this year in your eyes?
The Atlanta.
The Atlanta Braves.
I'm rooting for Seattle because I'm a World Series jersey collector. I collect the jersey of every champion besides the Red Sox. I never buy whenever they win. Yeah. But I would love a Seattle Mariners jersey, but I think I'll be buying myself another, maybe a Ronald Acuna jersey this time around. So I got the Braves.
And Sean, you have the Rays taking on the Dodgers. Who do you have taking the World Series this year?
I do. A real quick shout out to Justin. I'm sorry to hear that there's 4 jerseys that must be missing from the World Series collection in our lifetime.
Actually, I have one that I ended up giving away. I have a Manny Ramirez 07.
I was just wondering. I was like, Manny Ramirez or David Ortiz. I feel like could be if you had to give respect to somebody. Those are the two things that are fun as heck to watch. I'm going to give it to the Rays for the fun value. I think that's more. I don't want to see the Dodgers win another one. I love Mookie. I don't want to see him win another one.
All right. And
don't sleep on Baltimore, man. I'm telling you,
I would love to see them. No knock. That's the thing that it's like the AL East, honestly, like I don't want to see the Yankees above us, but anyone else, I'm like, you know what? Go out and show that the AL East is really a good division.
I wouldn't mind watching a team like Toronto or Baltimore. I just love seeing that. First off, the energy in Toronto during a playoff game, like shouts out to like the Jose Bautista versus Texas. That loud horn after big home runs. I would love to see a playoff game out there. But Baltimore, I think, is another sleeper. I think that might be my ALCS right there. Seattle versus Baltimore.
That'd be a really fun one and a horrible time zone adjustment for the teams going back and forth across. Yeah.
So major news obviously hit, I think, a couple weeks or a week ago at this point. The guy who's kind of electrified the Major League Baseball, Shohei Ohtani, suffered a UCL injury, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. That's going to take him out for a very extended period of time. If I'm not mistaken, he's also a free agent, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
This year.
Season's end.
Okay. So I guess this is going to be the big news probably, right? I would imagine a whole bunch of teams are going to be lining up for his services. So first off, how long does it take to get back from a UCL injury? Is it?
Well, that's
was there a report out about like how long he'd be out for?
Well, he's not out because he's still hits. He's a dual threat. He can still hit.
Oh, he's just out as a pitcher then. Okay.
Yeah, so he can't pitch.
Okay.
So that does possibly. I mean, to some people, it may reduce his value in free agency because maybe you're paying for him to do both, and then really you're only going to get one thing for at least till 2025. Am I right? So.
Okay. I mean, so where is your guys' early prediction of where Shohei Ohtani is going to end up?
I'll let you take that, Sean.
For whenever there was a lot of trade talks around it, I had Seattle. I had Seattle as landing spot. I heard it's tough. It's interesting from the international player perspective, it's like I just don't think New York makes sense for him. I just feel like that's almost too overwhelming. Where like LA, we're just thinking guys like Giannis doing well in Milwaukee, which I know also he's got some stuff he's figuring out. But like, I just think you kind of need that like space and like time and have the family around you and stuff like, or people around you. So I mean, Dodgers, I think also just makes sense to stay in LA. I'd heard that one. I'm not really nailing down one. I think Seattle makes the most sense for contending and being in a spot. And then the other ones that I've heard that I put like tier 2, I heard Dodgers and Cubs. Honestly, I could see a little bit without too much of the big city tie.
Yeah. So originally for me, it was the Mets. I had the Mets going all in because they have all the money to pay him in the world. But
yeah,
after the shit show that happened this year from having Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander at the top of your rotation and then dealing them both, I'm still going to have the Mets in my contentions. I think they'll probably finish in that top 2 or 3 and going after him. But I could see a team like San Francisco swooping in there. I think San Francisco's been looking to make a bang. They went all in for Aaron Judge last year and just missed him. So I could see them going in there and throwing all that money at Shohei Ohtani. You're going to put people in the seats. Going to have that left fielder hitting bombs into McCovey Cole. Hey, yeah. I see San Francisco being a team to swipe Shohei Ohtani. But also at the same time, I think the Angels might be there as well. They got Shohei. I mean, Mike Trout locked up for a long time. If you let Shohei Ohtani walk, then you might as well just get ready to trade Mike Trout eventually too.
Yeah, it's tough to think. It's a tough thing on the side of just thinking about the Angels going through and having 2 generational players. Ohtani definitely more valuable long term, but like 2 of just the most outstanding players you could possibly have, and really not having any postseason success is going to be a brutal one, I think, to look back on. I don't know if there's no trade value in my mind that you could honestly get for Ohtani, and it's like, oh, that was a good trade.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, sitting here from a fan's perspective, the Angels should have probably dealt Ohtani already. I think they swept the Yankees once in LA and they thought they had a fair chance at it, and then they would go buying. And right now, look at you now. So, but yeah, back on that, I think the San Francisco Giants will be an awesome fit. And I love their uniforms too. He should love them too.
Yeah. So news just hit for the Minnesota Vikings. Not really news, but it's just a thing that popped up. ESPN is reporting Minnesota did not make a serious offer for Trey Lance prior to the Cowboys trade. The team feels good about quarterback Jaren Hall. So
I saw that notification pop up on my phone as well. I mean, I would love if Jaren Hall works out. I feel like we've just had a lot of young guys that I just don't think. I don't know. I get so nervous about quarterbacks because Kirk Cousins has been great and he's a good one to be able to point to. But sitting through Christian Ponder, Forrest Jackson, rest in peace, Joe Webb, Brett Favre. I mean, Joe Webb starting a playoff game is a really tough.
It's a really tough one. That's one of Aaron Rodgers' playoff wins too. And I guess
Teddy Bridgewater.
Teddy Bridgewater, I can't. And I mean, if we want to go into the Case Keenum and Sam
Bradford too, yeah.
Sam Bradford.
God, yeah, that's right. Sam.
What a quarterback room for a minute there of 3 just slightly above average in that respective time frame. Teddy Bridgewater, Sam Bradford, Case Keenum would be like, somebody's got to start.
Somebody's got to start. Who are we giving it to? That is crazy. Blasphemy past Sam Bradford, number 1 overall pick. So Sean did mention something that I do want to get both you guys' opinion on, and then we can wrap it up. Giannis Antetokounmpo did make a comment basically saying that if he doesn't feel the Milwaukee Bucks organization is going in the direction of competing for a championship, that he is probably going to look elsewhere, or he's not going to commit to them, I guess was his exact words. So I said this initially when I saw this report. I said this was a ticking time bomb. Once they won the championship, it was you need to shit or get off the pot for the Milwaukee Bucks, because you are not going to win another championship, in my opinion, with Jrue Holiday and Chris Middleton as your 2 other guys. They were aging players that are Middleton is not a true Robin. Giannis kind of bumped him up to be that because Giannis is that good. But Middleton's not the guy that you really want to look to in that. And once Middleton went down, you saw Jrue Holiday cannot handle being a number 2 option on a championship team. So this was a ticking time bomb for me. if the Milwaukee and now they might have shot themselves in the foot by waiting too long. Because now what are you going to get for a Middleton Drew Holiday package? Probably not enough to keep Giannis around. So it might be the days might be ticking on a Giannis Antetokounmpo staying in Milwaukee.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I always thought that was temporary. I think Giannis Antetokounmpo, he's a big market personality, and he's a big fish in a small pond right now. I think I could see him moving to a bigger market. I think he wants the bigger market. Oh, sign me up, man. I'll put that Knicks train out there for him. I'll pick him up from the airport.
That's what I knew whenever you said big city. I'm just thinking like, all right, you're trying to get him to the Knicks, and I'm actually going to go complete opposite direction and say that I really don't. I think it's the same thing. International play. Just in my mind, I'm like I think they prefer kind of an opportunity to get off the ground running. I'm going to throw out the Thunder is who I think he could do well with and have. I don't know if they'd actually be able to trade for him and stuff, but I mean, they have the future picks lined up, and there's a superstar opportunity. I mean, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's awesome.
Do you think it would be do you think Giannis, they would come to an agreement where the year before he's about to leave, he'd be like, I'm not going to stay, so you might as well trade me and get something for me? Or
I don't know.
It'd be better that way.
It would, but you think it's going to work out that way? It doesn't usually work out that way.
Yeah, I don't know. It at least will be a topic of conversation, but I don't know. I mean, I feel like he's probably going to – I would think that he would want to test free agency. But, yeah, I really don't – I mean, I also don't know if I see him as a guy that goes somewhere else with another superstar and blends well. I do think that he's got to be, like, the guy.
Think about it. So you said international superstar, and my name that popped up where you wanted to go. It's big market, but kind of a little more under the radar, Dallas Mavericks with Luka.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, I know you say he wouldn't go to another team like, to be another superstar.
Luka might be a good blend. Yeah.
That one, yeah, because Luka still has to prove, like, can he win with another superstar or star player? Because he kind of just is it's kind of like James Harden. He is the thing, and you just kind of have to surround him with other players and hope that that's enough to win, and usually it's not enough. So, yeah, it's going to be a very big talking point for the years to come for Giannis Antetokounmpo. I know Miami was really involved before he re-signed, but our attention is fully focused on Damian Lillard right now. The trade talks are going to restart. Damian Lillard is going to be in Miami before season comes, and y'all are going to have to look out because we are coming again.
Or the Knicks.
No, they're not.
And the Celtics.
Celtics I'll worry about. I'm never worried about the Knicks. They are.
Who gave you the bet? Outside of the Celtics, which you were up 3-0 against, the Knicks gave you a run for your money. I think you got to start putting some respect.
I don't think you remember how that series went. If Jimmy Butler doesn't go down in game 2, you guys get swept. Mm-hmm. You realize that, right?
No.
You get swept. You get swept. We barely lost the game without Jimmy Butler in game 2.
That was a dogfight of a series.
Dude, it wasn't. It was only because Jimmy went down in game 2, so you got to win. Barely got to win. If we beat you in game 2 and game 1 and game 2, like I said, we beat you in game 3, you're getting swept. You're not. Maybe you win that game 4, but you still get swept. You get swept.
No offense, Sean. If the Knicks got past Miami, I think we would get in by Boston.
Yeah, sure. This guy's.
That's where I might.
This guy is smoking something. Knicks, man.
Hey, man, we won the season series for a reason.
That's the regular season.
Oh, but it's so regular season.
That's
okay.
That's some optimism. That's some optimism. That's all I give you.
That's real glass
for
half
the East. Yeah,
right
I'm like,
there.
that's some optimism.
Julius Randle, you know how bad he is. Okay, and you can try and blame the ankle injury all you want. You're out there, you're playing. He has continuously showed you, dude, he's a worse playoff performer than James Harden.
Okay, that's
he arguably. I'm not even kidding, Justin. He might be the worst playoff performer in NBA history.
The worst guy to touch earth. Yo, I'm not even gonna exhaust my energy on the Knicks talks yet, because believe me, you're gonna hear it from October and on. But there's a reason why somebody on ESPN put the Knicks and the Suns to be going up at it this year in the NBA Finals.
Justin, his two playoff series runs, right? 2021 and 2022. For his career, 34% from the field, 28% from 3, 75% for the free throw line, 17 points, and 4 turnovers. That's
I have
crap.
not. I literally did not say anything defending Julius Randle. I'm not
But
talking
he's
about
on your
Julius.
team, so you're not going anywhere when you have that guy on your team. That's all I'm saying.
I'm just being attacked. Julius Randle shots at for
You're
no
the one
reason.
that just said you would have went to the NBA Finals.
It was a little bit of a bold statement there, but I just see them. I mean, I think they're stuck in a pretty. I mean, they got a fun young team too, but I think they're 5 seed. Like I think 5 seed is.
They're stuck. Yeah, they're stuck right there in that.
I don't think we're stuck anywhere. No, I that's the thing. I really think that a lot of people just watch the Knicks and they're like, they look at the past and this is what we're always going to be. I said it countless times. This is not Eddie Curry. Like Eddie Curry, the Eddie Curry Knicks are gone. The KP's Knicks are gone. The days of having all these different point guards cycling in year after year are gone. This is JB's team. RJ Barrett is developing. And you can laugh all you want, man. You can disrespect me.
They can't shoot. They can't shoot.
I just think there's too many good teams. That's why in the East there's not enough pie and there's too many good teams. That's where I'm like I give them their roses. They might be good in a couple of years, but they're 5 seed.
They have to make moves. They have to make moves. Julius Randle and RJ Barrett cannot be your second and third best players on your team. I'm sorry. And I'm sorry, but I don't. I love Jalen Brunson. He earned my respect this series, especially going toe to toe with the Miami Heat. He earned my respect, but you cannot win a championship with Jalen Brunson as your number one. You can't. I'm sorry. He's number two probably. He's not number one. Not. These are not shots, Justin. These are facts.
Time will tell.
Facts over feelings, Justin.
Oh, well, listen, that's why I want Giannis. That's why I said.
That's why I want Giannis.
Get me Giannis.
Embiid is on the table. Another guy can't shoot.
Embiid is on the table too.
Oh my God, he wants everybody. Why don't you just trade for LeBron and KD?
Fantastic, yeah.
Just take everybody. You want Eric Spoelstra too? Have him. Why not?
Since you guys want to start taking shots, don't let me start taking shots, bro. Brandon talked all this shit, but his team falls short in the NBA Finals each time.
Oh, wait. What was the last thing you said there? What were the last couple words? NBA Finals, right? You guys can get past
It's great to know that you play.
Give them an inch, they take a mile. You give them an inch, they take a mile. This is the problem with the Knicks fans.
Ron, are you content with the Boston Red Sox just making the playoffs?
No, I want the championship.
You want them to win. Congrats, Miami. You make the playoffs all the time.
Whoa. There's a difference. There's a difference between making the playoffs and NBA Finals. We make the. I'm not content with the playoffs. I'm content with our guys not having the necessary talent to win a championship, make it to the championship. That's a successful season. We were the fucking 9th seed, dude. We made it to the NBA Finals. Listen,
and y'all can laugh at my team.
Tyler Hero did through the entire playoffs.
Boston Celtics here. We got Mr. Boston Celtic here with paying a boatload of money to Jaylen Brown, who is not worth that amount.
That felt out of nowhere.
Sean, you're being the nice guy, and he's taking a shot at you. You can't come into Miami Heat right now.
Not on the table whatsoever.
I'm going after everybody.
You're all going with me.
When I feel attacked, I'm ready to attack.
This guy backed up into a corner, and he's
have me in a corner. I'm sorry. I got to defend my guy.
Justin,
I don't believe the East is that. There's great teams, but the difference between all of them is slim. I don't really think it's that big of a margin.
There is a tier list.
My problem is, I think the Knicks just feel like a diet Cavs to me. That's where I'm like, the Cavs seem like they have like the established player and the young core, and they feel a little stronger to me than the Knicks. And I give all 5 seed.
We beat the Cavs.
Yeah, but congrats, you beat the Cavs. I mean, I
know you beat them, but still, that's where they feel. Team structure wise, I'm like Donovan Mitchell. I mean, awesome.
Yeah, this is what I say, Justin. This is what I just gotta say to you. This is the problem. You have one okay season, and you feel like we're ready to take over the world now. That's the problem with the Knicks fans. You have one okay season since freaking Melo. Now you're like, I got to grab onto something. We're taking the world, dude. If we would have beat Miami, we would have beat the Celtics, and we would be in the NBA Finals. And then guess what? Your next thought would have been like, well, listen, if Julius Randle was healthy, we would have beat the Denver Nuggets in the NBA Finals.
If you just had Jeremy Lin, honestly.
I mean, right?
Now y'all just trolling me.
I mean, come on.
Listen, I didn't say we're winning the NBA Finals.
You said
I said
though. And
I didn't say we're getting. I said last
you
year.
said no. Yeah. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, if we got past you, I think we beat the Celtics.
So that means you think that you guys are NBA Finals contenders this year.
Now this year,
The team is the same. The team's the same.
Well, we got Dante DiVincenzo, another year of JB.
So you should feel more confident.
RJ, listen, I'm confident that my team is going to make noise. That's all I'm going to say.
So
I'm not going to stick my foot in my mouth now and say that we're going to the NBA Finals.
What a moonwalk. What a moonwalk.
So I think you did say that you were going to.
No. I said that somebody on ESPN.
You did say that.
Somebody on ESPN said the Knicks Suns NBA Finals.
Yeah, and that person is definitely.
Now that's a person.
Definitely from New York. Justin, the moonwalk was crazy there. You literally said you're going to be the NBA Finals last year if you beat us. And now you got the same exact team with a couple years in now with those new players. Now all of a sudden it's we'll make some noise.
I'm not making any predictions now. It's too early.
Backtrack of the century. All right. That was a fun episode. I enjoyed our time with you, Sean. Definitely would love to have you on again.
Please.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me out. I had a blast, guys. So no, it was super awesome.
It was great. It was good seeing you again, Sean. It's been a long time. We'll stay in contact. Definitely, like I said, we're going to have you on again. Both of you guys, if you guys want to head out of here, I'm going to be reviewing the UFC right after this. So I'll see you later, Justin. Sean, I'll stay in contact with you. Hopefully see you later on the show. If you want to, I don't know. It's up to you, Sean, if you want to let people know if you're on Twitter, TikTok, if you want to let them know that. It's up to you if you don't want to. You don't have to.
For sure. I mainly just got an Instagram. You're welcome to follow @ZeroGera. Again, thanks, guys. I had a blast. Super fun. You guys do this and great talking sports with you.
Oh, 100%. I'll definitely put Sean.
Until the end.
Yeah, until the end. I'll definitely put Sean's link to his Instagram in the description. I'll see you guys later.
Sounds good. We'll see you.
Stay classy, guys.
All right. Okay, and now we are here to talk about the UFC. UFC was in Singapore yesterday morning for me. Oh my God. Didn't really get to see it initially. Got to watch it on replay later on in the day. It was at work. So I'm only going to cover 4 fights that were kind of the fights that I was really excited for. We'll kick it off with the main event. Max Holloway taking on Chan Sung Jung, the Korean Zombie, better known as. It was kind of what you expect. Well, you know what? I will give you this. I will give Korean Zombie this. He did better than I expected. His last performance against Volk was just, he just got the floor was mopped with him. Volk. It was a perfect performance, basically, from Volk. He just it shouldn't Zombie shouldn't have been fighting for the title then. It was lack of competition. He had beaten Max 3 times. Nobody else was in there. Max was beating everybody, so he had to fight Korean Zombie, and then that was the fight that was made. Max basically, Max did basically win all 3 rounds. The 3rd round only lasted 23 seconds. He was up. He was out striking him by a lot. He was still hitting him hard. But Zombie showed, a little more speed, a little more power this one. And the finishing sequence was the crazy thing. He really earned his name in his final sequence. He is literally the Zombie because he just said, balls to the wall, I'm coming at you, Max Holloway. And he hit Max with some big shots, but at the end of the day, he got slept. He got slept bad. The head hit the floor, the mat, and he got a pretty good gash right there above his eyebrow. But God damn it, you can't say Zombie didn't bring everything he had, because he did. He brought you he gave you everything in his final fight. I loved watching the final entrance for Korean Zombie, coming out to Zombie, the crowd serenading him. And then the ending, the post-fight retirement, I guess you would want to say, for Zombie was a great moment. The crowd starting to sing Zombie out to him again, him laying down the gloves. What a legendary career, a legend, an icon, a guy who truly lived up to the name, the Korean Zombie. And one thing you can never say about the Korean Zombie is he cheated you. He never did. He brought everything he had and then some. Every single time he fought, even in his retirement fight last night or last morning. So that was the main event. who is Max going to fight next? I don't know. The division he's beaten everybody that isn't Volk. I don't really want to see the fourth fight right now. I want to see Max get a big win over another up and comer contender, a big time guy who he hasn't fought. He already beat Arnold. He beat Ortega. He beat Yair. Beat Zombie. Tapori's probably fighting for the title. Next, he beat Cater. The next guy I have to go down to is Giga. And I don't think Giga deserves a shot at him. So I don't know what's next for Max. If Aljo's moving up, I think that would have been the perfect fight. I think that is kind of the perfect fight if Aljo's moving up, Max versus Aljo. But yeah, I don't know what's next for Max. It's tough because he's beaten everybody, and if he hasn't beaten Volk, and I don't think he should get the shot off of a win over Korean Zombie, who is basically washed. And it was a big win over Arnold Allen, but was that his last two wins? Yeah. Arnold Allen, the big win, and then beating a Korean Zombie, which I don't see as massively impressive. So next up, we had Anthony Smith taking on Ryan Spann. Anthony Smith, man, I thought he was going to do what he did last time, to be honest with you. I thought he was going to be able to get the finish in the first round. He wasn't able to. He was close a couple of times, rocked him. Close, but Spann was able to hold in there. Sorry if you hear some blowing in the background. Spann stayed in there, and by the end of the second round, I believe it was, Anthony Smith's eye was almost shut. I believe it was the left one, but he stuck in there. He held in there strong, and he was able to win a split decision, 29-28. Anthony Smith just slightly edging Ryan Spann. So the rematch ends with Anthony Smith winning both fights against Ryan Spann. Anthony Smith winning both fights against Ryan Spann. Next up, we had the return of Giga Chikadze taking on Alex Caceres. News came out, I think it was yesterday or this morning, that Caceres broke his forearm in the first round against a kick from Giga. This was a pretty entertaining fight. Giga didn't look super, super impressive. Caceres was kind of giving him some problems. But, first fight back for Giga in almost 2 years, shaking off some rust. I'm pretty sure he called out Yair. That's an interesting fight. I'd love to see that. That's going to be absolute war. He said he wants December 16th. Let's do that. Yair versus Giga. I'm up for that next. Then finally, the fight that I was honestly most anticipated for, and I wish it was 5 rounds, Aaron Blanchfield taking on Tala Santos. Tala Santos has quickly become one of my favorite female fighters in the sport right now. She is gamer. She brings it every single time. And she hits hard. She's got great jiu-jitsu, great takedown defense. Phenomenal takedown defense. So 0 for 14, Aaron Blanchfield was. The only reason she got on top of her in the second round was because Santos went for the takedown and slipped and wasn't able to get it. At first initial watch, I thought Santos kind of got robbed. I didn't say robbery, but I was like, how did Santos lose that second round? On rewatch, I can easily see how Santos lost that second round. There was a lot more control time than I initially thought for Blanchfield, even though she did jack diddly shit with it. And I think Santos landed the bigger shots in the clinch that they had for a little time in the second round. But third round, Blanchfield pretty much dominated. Santos definitely won round 1. It comes out to the round 2, and I don't think Santos did enough in the first 2 minutes of that round on the feet to edge that round out. So yeah, it was Blanchfield didn't do shit in the second round really with the control time, but I could see how she got that fight. She's now 12-1, 9-fight win streak, and she is probably next for the championship. She's probably next, unless Rose maybe gets a big win. Then I could probably see Rose getting the championship shot next, and then Aaron's going to have to fight somebody else. So that wraps up UFC Singapore. Good overall event. Next week they're gonna be in Paris. Good card too. I'm excited for the final 3 cards. The Benoit kid from France. Definitely excited. I'm most anticipated fight again is Rose Namajunas taking on Manon Farot. Super excited for that fight. I wish it was 5 rounds, but can't wait for that event. I'm going to be able to catch those last 3 fights this time too. But that wraps up episode 123 of the Wise Guys podcast. If you like this episode and you stayed this long, please give us a like, Subscribe if you're new. If you like the content, turn on the notification bell to be alerted whenever we go live or put out videos. I'm starting to be more active now on YouTube, I should say. Comment along with us. Tell us what you think about the Vikings in the Super Bowl. Are they contenders? How do you feel about the Trey Lance trade? What's your biggest bold prediction for this upcoming season of the NFL? We got Justin thinking Lamar Jackson is going to win MVP. He's also predicting the Jets are going to the Super Bowl. Sean saying the Pittsburgh Steelers and Mike Tomlin are going to keep that winning streak going at 9-8, which I completely agree to. He also agrees that he believes the Jets are going to the Super Bowl. Brandon's got some crazy ones. The Bills are missing the playoffs, in my opinion. The Broncos are going to make the playoffs. The Browns are going to finish with the best record in the AFC. The Bucs are making the playoffs. The Cowboys are going to have the best record in the entire NFL. Chaos. I love it. Let's do it. Yeah. And I was Brandon Capozziello. Thanks again to my co-host Justin Ray and old friend Sean O'Gara. It was good seeing him again. Good talking to him about sports. We're definitely gonna have him on again. I love the chat and the conversation he brings. He's been a sports fan longer than me, to be honest with you. Always love shooting the shit with Sean. So thanks for tuning in, guys. And until next time, stay classy. Late is gate is.